I think it might have my favorite box art of the year.
Oh, you're telling me it beats Street Fighter 6? Surely you jest.
Everything beats Street Fighter 6 on it. Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to a festive edition of the HGO podcast, I guess. I'm your host today, Ethan, and joining me as always, my good friends Kyle.
Hello.
And Hunter. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. Well, congratulations, you're here on Christmas Day, which means you're thriving at life and you're doing a great job. How's it going? I'm feeling very festive today, and I don't know if it's because I finally dusted off the ugly thank you. Did I wear this last year? I don't remember if I wore this last year.
I don't remember what we talked about last week. You think I can remember a year ago?
Yeah, that's great. You know, I was about to go, last week we talked about this, and I'm like, oh wait, no, we're recording all these out of order. I don't know what we talked about last week. I think it was the character one. Was it? Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But no, I did have this last year, but like I say, I don't remember if I might have ordered it too late, so it wasn't, I don't know if I wore it or not, but this is my Spyro Christmas jumper to celebrate that Spyro 4 did not show up at the Game Awards. So there we go, that's my celebration.
Woo.
We can say that now, that's the timeline that we're living in, but yeah.
Has he shown up in Crash Team Rumble, though?
He has. I played Crash Team Rumble for 5 minutes, unlocked Spyro, closed that application down, and went bye. I'm not playing anymore.
Will not be playing you again.
I mean, we can talk about Crash Team Rumble when it comes up later in this episode, but you know, I think it sums up my thoughts exactly, to be honest with it. But hey ho, one day we might get Spyro one day. Who knows? He'll show up in another Crash game, 'cause that's all he gets apparently. But yeah, happy holidays, everybody.
Spyro's like the Sam Fisher of Activision.
Yeah, basically. He's at this point...
He shows up in all of their crossover stuff, but they refuse to give him his own thing anymore.
Yeah, dude, he's like the Captain Falcon of that. Like, you know, he shows up in collaborations, but he doesn't like... They'll show off him a track in Mario Kart, they'll show him off in Smash Bros. New game? Nah, forget about that. We don't need that. That's crazy for talk. But yeah, happy holidays, everybody. We're going to go through the entirety of 2023 in one episode. It's going to be fun. We're going to do a retrospective. We're going to do a review of this year with all the crazy shenanigans that have gone down. We're going to go month by month. We're going to talk about the games that came out. And I think this is usually, we tend to do this every year. I think this is an interesting episode to always do because, like I say with Crash Team Rumble, like we'll say with other games, you'll have seen all of our posts go out about our Game of the Years by now. I feel like it's interesting to look at games from time passing on, because I feel like first impressions, they're very intense, they're very passionate because you're in the moment. Whereas now, 6 months down the line, my opinions on Tears of the Kingdom are completely different to when they were when I first played it, because I've had time to settle down. My opinions have solidified a bit more. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to discuss all this. So strap in, I guess. It could be a long one, as there's been a lot of games this year, which I'm sure we'll have forgotten quite a few of them.
Boatload of them.
Yeah. But yeah, if you are new here, welcome to the HGO podcast. Happy holidays. Thanks for showing up on this day of all days. You've got a weird fascination for finding new podcasts on Christmas Day. Hey, we've got you.
Or thanks for showing up the day after.
Or the day after. Hey, Boxing Day's
more than likely.
Boxing Day, you've got nothing better to do. You're packing up your tree.
Background noise while you're packing stuff up.
You're trying to figure out what to do with all those presents you don't want and you will never use, you know, those 6 those, you know, like... I feel like this is a much more of a UK thing than an American thing, but I don't know if you ever had it, where it's like, I feel like everybody who was like a family friend who would get you a present would always give you like some kind of shower gel set or something that was like hygiene related. And then you just end up with like 17 of these sets and you're like, well,
you never need to buy them yourself for like...
Yeah, but they're never good ones, Hunter. It's like Axe or something where it's like...
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like when you run out of your own stuff and don't want
it's like,
to,
I'm not 12. I'm not doing like, I'm not doing PE in high school. I do not need Axe body spray anymore. Thank you for your concern. But yeah, like I say, up on the website, you'll have all of our Game of the Year stuff going up. Next week on the show, we'll be doing our big Game Awards stuff, our HGAs, so be sure to tune in for that. It should be fun. But if you want to get a sense of where our tastes have landed, then you can go and check all those out on the website. They should all be up by now. I wonder what I wrote, because I still haven't written it as of recording this, so that'll be fun. I still don't know what my game of the year is. Maybe this will help solidify
God.
it. Who knows? I don't. Um, but yeah, they'll all be up. And then as we get into the new year, obviously, you're well aware from now, a couple of these episodes are being pre-recorded so that we can have a break. So there'll still be episodes every week, but they may not be as timely. So if something happens, if somebody acquires somebody during this break, I will be fighting whoever does it. So it'll be fun. But yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know if there's anything else housekeeping related that we need to bring up before we start. Good and proper? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think
Unless
so.
I got especially ambitious and wrote a review or something in the next couple of weeks.
If Hunter did, I'm not editing it, so go and check out whatever it was on YouTube, because
Go check out his review of Fire Emblem Engage.
oh yes, I'm sure. So I want to kind of start this one off with a bit of a litmus test, really. I want to test the waters, because how are we feeling on 2023 as a whole, as a year for video games? Because I think we were talking about it a bit with the Game Awards episode a couple of weeks ago. There's like there's the parallels here where I think it's been a really great year for video games. It's been an absolute dog shit year for the games industry. So I feel like it's an interesting parallel where I wasn't really keeping up. Say in 2017, 2018, go back even further, 1998, all these great years for games. One, I was a kid for most of those. Two,
Yeah.
I wasn't keeping up with the behind the scenes, all the drama in the games industry, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
those usually don't impact my opinions, but I feel like the shit that's gone down this year in the games industry really has affected my opinion on 2023. Where it's like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, fantastic games, but I'm still coming off of it a bit like torn because of all the drama and the hostility that's happened in the games industry this year. I don't know how you two are feeling about it.
I mean, yeah, it definitely sucks that, like, for every good game there'd be an instance of a story of, a bunch of people being laid off or something.
And it's like a lot of the time it is those games of the year that have been made where the studios are laying off. Like, that's the crazy thing.
And that makes it a little bit harder to be super excited for all of these things because, liking video games by extension, I feel like you should care about the people who make them.
No, definitely. 100%. I don't know, Cal, how are you feeling about this year, 2023 video games? How are you feeling?
I mean, it was a really good year for playing video games. This was the year I told myself I was going to branch out and try a bunch of new stuff that I wouldn't normally pick up, and I think I did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah.
I mean, my year started with me playing the Dead Space remake,
Which is going out of your comfort zone for sure. You would definitely this
Yeah.
time last year that you would definitely have not have been doing that. So that's always a good thing. I mean, I played Resident Evil 4, which I was not expecting to do at the start of this year. So it's like there has been a bit of a branching out.
But I mean, hearing about like the layoffs and acquisitions that kept happening seemingly every week or every couple of weeks,
The
like
Xbox Activision
it just got so
acquisition
tiring to
hung
keep up
over
with
the
after a
industry.
while.
Yeah, and it's like I don't like it. It's like when I don't think we mentioned it in the Game Awards podcast, but I remember when the Sega thing was coming up and they were announcing all those games, there was a small part of me, and I remember saying it to you guys, I'm like, oh god, please don't be an acquisition. Please, I don't need this right now. Like, I was genuinely scared for a trailer because I'm scared of acquisitions at this point. Not because I'm like console warrior, just because I'm like, I don't want, and I'm like, can we not have more consolidation, please? Yeah.
Every direction. I don't want Xbox to acquire anyone else. I don't really want PlayStation to acquire anyone else.
No, definitely not. So yeah,
definitely don't want Embracer Group to ever acquire anybody ever.
No. It's been a weird one. Like I say, I think there's been some great highs in terms of game quality. I think you can't find much better a year than 2023. As there were so many games that weren't nominated for Game of the Year awards that still rightfully would have in any other year. So it's been a wonderful year, but it has always been kind of seeped even from the beginning in this kind of negativity surrounding the people that have been making it and all the resignations, the layoffs, the acquisitions. It's been crazy. It's been a wild ride. So what we're going to do is we're going to go month by month. We're going to talk about what came out, what are our impressions on it. Remember some games that may have or may not have come out this year, because trust me, there have been so many that I'm struggling to keep track of what I have and haven't played this year. So it'll be a fun one. Kyle, you have got our list, right? Are we going off Wikipedia?
I was going off of Wikipedia.
That's great.
I trust that one to be updated.
As you know, as school used to always say, it's the most reliable source of information. Always cite it in your essays, kids. Always cite it in your essays.
Donate to Wikipedia.
Donate to Wikipedia if you are so inclined. But yeah, we're gonna go month by month. We'll start with January, and we'll see where it takes us. Kyle, where are we starting from this crazy year?
Well, the start of January is looking pretty barren. Just taking a quick glance at the list, I'm seeing like the first notable thing would probably be like, and that's not even a new game, but like the Persona 3 and 4 ports.
Which is crazy because it feels like they've been out forever, and also that I didn't play those
Yeah.
ports in the end. I don't think anyone
No.
did. I honestly think we can safely say that Persona 3 port was a waste of resources all around, to be honest, looking back at it.
Yeah.
It's nice to have portable in the WoW, but it wasn't even a good conversion, if I remember correctly. It's not like on the levels of the 4 golden port.
It had really
incredible.
bad like audio crunch to it, and this was a long time ago, but I think I remember seeing that it used AI upscaling on the battle backgrounds.
Yeah, it was
So,
not
just to give the illusion of higher quality.
it was not a great port.
Yeah.
But it's there. So if you want to go and check it out, you can go and check it out, I guess. The Persona 4 port was as good as it was on every other conversion, basically. I still find it baffling that they made a separate Series X version and never made a PS5 version. I still think that's bizarre, especially because there's no performance reason for it. It must have just been part of the Game Pass deal that they had to have a Series X native, I guess. But bizarre nonetheless.
Who knows?
It's weird.
I have no clue. But again, it's like that on the Xbox side. We'll get to it later. The Red Dead side on PlayStation. There's been some very weird ports this year that make no sense, really. But yeah, what else happened in January?
Well, the day after those came out, Fire Emblem Engage happened.
Oh, God. Is it safe to say? I remember coming off that game's first impressions and feeling like, because the reviews were pretty high, I felt like a contrarian, kind of being like, that game's very mediocre. I feel like coming off basically a year of that game existing and no one remembering it exists, I feel like it's fair to say that that's a pretty mediocre Fire Emblem entry at this point. I feel like that's fair to say.
I think I'd say it's the worst one that I've played, but I'm someone who's also started. My history is I started with Awakening, and I've played every one since. I think definitely in terms of story, it's the weakest. Gameplay's pretty solid though. I do like the emblem gameplay and how you can mix and match and build your characters based on what emblem rings you give them. It gives a lot of room for customization and a lot of cool builds you can do.
Like I say, I think the battle system was very much an improved system compared to Three Houses, but it was worse than Three Houses in every other way, really, and that's just kind of baffling. And I hope Nintendo takes from that, because this game was sitting in a warehouse somewhere for literally over a year, fully finished, according to leaks. So I really hope that as they started work on the next one, they've taken this feedback of everyone going, "Hey, we really want the story to be good in a Fire Emblem game," and they take that to heart instead of making more of this. Because, like I say, I think I've heard people talk more about Fire Emblem Three Houses in this past year than I have them talk about Fire Emblem Engage, which is not a good sign for an RPG series.
Yeah,
really.
that's not great.
Yeah.
No. This is a common Fire Emblem thing, though. I think we were talking, Kyle, about how usually the first entry of a Fire Emblem game on a platform is usually the strongest. Like you had Awakening on 3DS, and then Three Houses on Switch, and then the rest of them are fine or mediocre, and they just kind of trickle off until the next platform release. So
yeah,
it was interesting nonetheless, I guess. Some people liked it, not enough people though. And then I guess we're going to Dead Space the next one that was out?
Oh,
there's
Rush
a couple things in between. Yeah. Hi-Fi Rush out on the 25th.
Fantastic.
My computer couldn't run this game.
Forspoken came out before that, but that
came out this year?
Comment.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Unfortunately.
I still remember returning that game after going, I don't want to play this. And I did, and then I picked it up. I do have a copy of it now. I picked it up during Black Friday for about well, it cost me £12 in the UK, but there was a deal going on where you got £10 in credit. So I technically paid £2 for Forspoken about 10 months after release. So, better than 70. That's all, was it? Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, y'all want to talk about Hi-Fi Rush?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. If you haven't played Hi-Fi
It was
Rush, go play
great.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Go
Yeah.
play Hi-Fi Rush. It was fantastic. Still one of the prevailing, like, coolest experiences in a game this year was playing this game.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. It was a fantastic game. And yeah, I
really
hope they
wished I
make
could
more. I hope
join you
Tango
guys.
branches out more. Maybe one day you'll play it, Kyle. Maybe one day.
One day.
One day. You can dream. It'll be worth it when you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
After that, Pizza Tower happened.
Fantastic indie game as well.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain that that game will show up on Switch or something else within the next year. So
It's gotta.
if you
It's
haven't played it on
gotta, right?
PC, you probably will have a chance to play it later, and you definitely should.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, 100%. I started playing it. I played it for about an hour on Steam, and I'm like, this is great, but I really just want to sit down and play it on my Switch, and I don't have a Steam Deck, so I don't have an alternative. So I'm just like, yeah, you know what? When that comes to Switch,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a blast with it.
All right. So next,
Mhm.
yeah, next up is Dead Space.
Oh,
How are you feeling on that,
what a
Hunter?
game. Yeah, it was still, like, I enjoyed it when I played it, and I still think it was pretty... dropping
You
stuff.
okay?
Yeah,
Good, bro.
but yeah, I think it was great. Like, you know, everything that it did, it managed to... all of the stuff it added was additive and not, like, pointless. I feel like that was very helpful as far as that. It really enhanced some of the threads that the side characters went through. The way its sense of atmosphere and everything is still pretty untouchable as far as creating a cool horror experience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever play it. I have bought Dead Space. I don't know if I mentioned this because on Xbox there was a sale where it was like the Ultimate Edition was like
Nice.
£7 or something on Xbox.
The Ultimate
So
Edition.
I picked that up. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever play it, but £7 for the Dead Space remake. I'm not gonna say no to that, am I? So
yeah.
If you ever want to, it'll have been nothing.
yeah. And even if I don't, it was nothing. And you know,
Yeah.
I like to support EA when they make good decisions once or twice every decade. So you know,
Encourage them to make those good decisions more often.
Yeah. I bought Jedi Survivor for full price. I didn't play it for 6 months, Hunter. So I feel like buying Dead Space for next to nothing and never playing it might be a better purchase investment. Might be a better investment, to be honest. Yeah. But no, it was cool to see that it actually showed up. Where like I don't know why before that game came out, I had like this gut feeling. I'm like, I really hope they don't rush this because like I was like, oh, suck it. But the fact that it came out, and it was brilliant. It's great.
Yeah.
I hope they carry it on. I hope they make
Yeah.
Dead Space 2 remake.
I really hope they do, because honestly, playing 2 last year, I think I liked that one more than the first game. And
let's be real here, they probably definitely are. So
yeah,
with how well this first one did, 100%. And is that it for January, or is there something else?
That wraps up January. Unless you want to talk about like Power Wash Simulator or SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake.
No, SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake was just more of Bikini Bottom remake and Bikini Bottom remake. Sorry, Bikini Bottom fans, remake fans, but I think that game is fine, but it's not on the quality. It's not a quality on like Spyro Reignited or some of the better remakes that have been. It's definitely not up there. And Cosmic Shake was just more of that. Power Wash Sim is great if you are itching for that kind of experience. I showed it to my friend because he's very much into these awful games. And not awful, but you know, like he loves like train sim and stuff like bus sim and stuff like that.
The menial, pointless, everyday task
he loves
simulator.
Those. And I sent it to him. I'm like, "Are you playing it?" And his first question was, "Does it have multiplayer?" And I'm like, I actually don't know the answer to that one. And if it doesn't, they should, because I can see that being quite fun. But
It would be funny to just look at somebody else and power wash the skin off their face. Yeah, it'd be funny.
you and I have different definitions of Fun Hunter. I was just, start a company with a buddy, start cleaning some houses, doing some good
I
work.
didn't realize that. Look, I've never played it. I don't know the actual cycle of the game. It's just I know
All you
that
need to know is that
pointing a
if you
power
were,
wash
well, you see,
spray at
Hunter, if
somebody.
you were a zoomer like myself, you would understand that there's something oddly satisfying from watching power washing. I don't know what it is about it, but if like something comes up that's like lawnmower or power washing on my TikTok or whatever, I will sit there and I'll watch it and I'll go, oh, that's good. Now, have I ever wanted to do it myself? No, that's effort. But watching someone else do it, satisfying, brilliant. I can see why it was so popular.
I remember there was a DLC for Power Wash Simulator that was SpongeBob SquarePants themed.
There's
There was
also
a
one
Final
that is Final
Fantasy
Fantasy
VII
VII
themed.
themed as well.
And I don't want to talk about like the logistics of how a power washer would work underwater.
Well, there was that one. There's also a Tomb
We
Raider
should
one
cross over with Dead
Croft
Space. That'd be a
Manor.
funny
Oh
one.
my god.
No, it reminds me of Visceral Cleanup Company or something. There was a game that was in the early 2000s, which was the whole idea behind it was you're the cleanup crew that has to clean up a spaceship basically from a horror film. So there's blood everywhere and a load of
Yeah.
dead bodies, and you have to go in with your mop and clean it all up.
That'd be
Like,
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but no. Anyway, January, bit of
Yes.
it's a good start to the year, to be honest. There was a couple of good games. January has
Yeah.
started to become a bit populated with at least one big game and a couple of others sprinkled in. So
Mm.
continues next year with Tekken. So
Yeah.
It is nice
Uh,
that the big games are starting to wait until the end of January
yeah,
before let us
I like having a couple weeks at
hit
the
our
beginning
backlog
to
a little
start
bit.
doing
Yeah.
something else. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not because of that. It's because they know that people have just
I know,
spent money
but
on
it's really
Christmas, and they're like,
nice.
give them a month to sort of let them have another payday, and then we'll get it started. But no, it's always
I
fun.
don't care what the reason is. It's very nice of them.
Anyway, let's move on. February. Kyle, what
Uh,
did February have in store? I mean, Hunter, you can tell me as well if you want. It's up to you.
I mean, yeah,
Hunter's
if
memory is
I
impeccable. You should know every release, Hunter. Come on.
this is true. But yeah, if I miss anything, y'all just speak up. But like the first big thing I'm seeing is probably the Metroid Prime remaster.
That came
Oh,
out
right.
this year.
Yeah.
It sure did.
I had to wait
bought
a
that.
month or two to play it because I was insistent on ordering a physical version.
Same.
Yeah.
And I played
But
about 5 hours of it.
I played the whole thing eventually, and I thought it was great.
I thought it was.
I didn't play it.
It wasn't. It's not my cup of tea, to be honest. But
Mhm.
what I did play, I thought was pretty good. I feel like some quality of life stuff would have been better. Like
Better checkpointing would have been
better
nice.
checkpointing. Auto saving would be pretty
Autosave,
cool, but
yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of quality though, it was a brilliant remaster. Like the game, you could like if you had told me, like if I was someone that was just like goes into a game store, picked up Metroid Prime remastered, and put it into my game, like put it into my Switch and started playing it, I'd struggle if someone asked what game console did this come out on. If I didn't know, I'd struggle to figure out what console it came from. They did that good of a job. They could have
Yeah.
taken the remastered off of it, and I would have assumed it was a Switch game. That's how good that game looked as a remaster.
Yeah,
Genuinely
there's some
really impressive.
There was some the detail work in that game is great. Like I don't remember the specifics of. I think that Samus's reflection in the visor was always there, but it's still a good detail.
Yeah.
Or it's just like the way that the gun was interacting with the environment and stuff like that. Again, was probably there in the original, but it was such a good remaster that it really did make me go, where did this come out from? Like, what console was this on? When usually, it's like, if I pick up Uncharted the Nathan Drake collection, I can boot those games up instantly and go, yes, that's an
Those
upscale
sure
PS3
are
game if I've
PS3
ever seen
games.
one.
Yeah.
Crunchy. And then like this game, I'm like, nah, it looks fabulous.
I mean, yeah, for a remake or a remaster of a launch GameCube title.
You know
Yeah.
what the craziest thing about that was? They shadow dropped the digital version off of the Direct.
Oh yeah.
I
Pretty
forgot they
nutty.
did that.
I still think it goes to Hi-Fi Rush though, which was the shadow drop of the year to me anyway.
Yeah.
With that
Oh,
game
for
just coming
for
out of
sure.
nowhere. but it was a close second. I also love that Jeff Grubb was saying there's a remake of Metroid Prime 1, and he was saying for the longest time it's coming out second half of 2022, and I just love the idea of Nintendo going fuck you and holding it literally just for February and then shadow dropping it. They knew that they already had it done. They were just like, yeah, no,
that's hilarious.
just make Jeff Grubb look like a liar and then just shadow drop it instantly, and they go, Lamar. Like, that's brilliant. I love that. Please do that more. I hate when all these, like, I love Jeff Grubb. He's a bad example, but I hate when people leak stuff and then go, this is coming out. And then I'm like, be so much fun.
It just saps the excitement out of the stuff. Yeah.
Just like game companies go, if we're just releasing it digital first anyway, push it a couple of months. It's fine. It'll be funny. Watch the internet panic. Great. But yeah, good remaster. Even though I didn't click with it. Maybe I'll click with 4. If 4 has auto-saving, I might click 4
with it will
better.
be like probably have modern sensibilities because like Dread had.
Yeah,
Dread was.
Oh, I love
normal.
Dread. I think Dread
had
is
pretty good checkpointing from what I remember.
Yeah, even if you
not
didn't
like
have,
I needed
like,
it, I beat it in one sitting. But yeah.
Like even when you didn't have the save points, if you had an Amy zone or whatever, you would just be thrown out the door essentially, rather than sent back hours of progress.
True. What else happened, Kyle, in February?
February was pretty quiet, all things considered.
I was thinking that because I was like, I don't remember much that happened in February.
Tales of Symphonia remaster came out.
Did anyone of us play it?
No,
I did not.
Cool.
Someday I will.
I'm sure it was great or not.
Atomic Heart came out, and I dabbled with that for a couple of hours because I had the Game Pass left over from Hi-Fi Rush, and I didn't think it was very good. Its writing was bad. The bullet I thought I was dodging when I didn't play Forspoken came back to find me anyway, right there with
it was a
Atomic
boomerang
Heart.
in the end. It wasn't a bullet.
Yeah, because the man talks to his magic glove or his science glove that gives him his superpowers, and it's not very well written, or at least it doesn't translate very well. The funniest story about this game is like over a couple weeks ago during PlayStation's Black Friday sale when I was out at a concert, and I came back the next day and my brother had bought this game, and I was like, oh no, I wish I was here. I could have told you to not.
Aw.
You should have said, do you not listen to the podcast, damn you? Like, I warned you.
He probably forgot, was all.
This is why you should be subscribed with the notification bell on, so that you didn't know that Atomic Heart.
He certainly listens on Twitter at Hot Gamers Only.
But yeah, so Atomic Heart, not very good.
But on that same day, Like a Dragon Ishin came out. Another Yakuza game,
which is funny.
Good for you, man.
Thank you. I'll play it one day.
You'll play it when you get through the main series.
Yeah, I don't know when that is. I was saying to you guys off camera, because we've been talking a lot this week with how things are planned out, and I was like, I tried playing Yakuza 4, starting it, and I'm just like not feeling it. I'm like, I think I've played too many of these recently, so it's like I might have to have a bit of a break.
Yeah, understandable.
It's mainly because I'm on the old ones. I'm on like 3, 4, and 5, which only got remasters, so they feel old and clunky. And I think the thing about Yakuza 4 is its gimmick was you have 4 playable characters. So you play as, and I looked it up, and there's 4 chapters basically, and you play as a different character in each chapter, and Kiryu's the last one. So I'm like, you're telling me that I've got to play through 3 fucking Jimmy, Timmy, and I don't know.
Billy.
Thank you, Billy. I was forgetting what his name was. Thank you, Cal. Before I play as Kiryu, that's
4 playable characters. One would obviously be Kiryu. One of them's not Majima.
No.
That's lame.
Majima wasn't playable until 0, if you can believe that. That was the first time Majima was ever playable with 0, which is kind of crazy looking back at it.
That's goofy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a weird one. People seem to like it quite a bit. But it was a remake / remaster of a PS3 game that didn't make its way overseas, so it wasn't a new release. I think the only one that's missing now is Yakuza Dead Souls, which was like a zombie game, which I don't think they're ever going to remaster because it not only was it just kind of following the Dead. What was that game called?
Undead Nightmare.
No.
Dead Nation.
Dead Island.
The one that was a launch title. The third entry was a launch title for the Xbox One. It's the one that's
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just looked like a Dead Rising knockoff, but it was also pretty terrible as well. So I don't know if they'll ever remaster it. 'Cause it's like out of date, feels ancient already, and it was pretty bad. I don't know if they'll ever touch it again. But yeah, good on Yakuza fans. Like fucking hell, Yakuza. I always think to myself,
They're eating very well.
I always think to myself, I've never met a terrible Yakuza fan. Like I've never seen on the internet somebody who is a
Yeah.
terrible Yakuza fan. And then I realize it's because they're always well fed and their games are just
They're just
so
vibing.
they're just so batshit insane that it's like they're just having the time of their lives all the time. Good for them. Good for Yakuza fans.
I think they have another one coming out in January or
Yeah,
something.
Yakuza 8, Infinite
Yeah.
Wealth.
Infinite
Takes place in Hawaii of all places. I feel that's gonna be great. That's also gonna be fantastic. But yeah,
Ugh.
good for them.
Mm. So next up, later in the month, we got the PlayStation VR 2 that came out along with Horizon Call of the Mountain.
What a
Ethan,
bullet
I remember
dodged,
you were
bro.
having a bit of an internal struggle with whether you wanted to get this or not.
No, because I've always wanted to try VR, and Beat Saber was
Yeah.
said they were coming. And don't get me wrong, I am still interested in VR. The day that they drop the price of that fucker to like
Yeah.
$400, £350, I'll hop on it like a fucking it's no one's business.
The
But
day that VR doesn't cost the same as the console.
more than the console, it's $50 more than
Oh,
the
it's
PS5.
more than the console?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
remember in the lead up to it, my brother was like, "Want to split the cost?" And I'm like, "Depends on what they price it at." And I was expecting to actually have to potentially debate with myself because it would have been like, I was expecting it to be like 400, and it'd be like 200 for a thing that I may or may not use that much, And then it was like 550. I'm like, no.
Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I think it's a really great
Yeah.
piece of kit, but it's one that I have no use for. And so far, Sony has not given me a reason to go out and get one because there isn't anything.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe I'll cave at some point when they have a price drop, but I'm not running for it right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And the Call of the Mountain was just basically like every Sony release at other than Astrobot at this point was just a nice tech demo that was like 4 hours long, and it's like I can't justify it really.
Yeah.
Especially when I've never played VR. For all I know, I could get I could be one of those people that just that gets
you
VR
can't
sickness
do
and
it.
can't use
Yeah.
it. So, maybe one day. I've also got glasses. I'm not made for VR. I'm built different. I'd have to get like prescription lenses or something or wear contacts. I'm like, this is so many steps just to play a fucking video game. I'm sure I'd have a blast. Beat Saber is an Ethan video game. That is like an Ethan type game. Like I would put hundreds of hours into it.
Oh yeah.
Fortnite just released Rock Band basically in the game. And I was looking it up because Harmonix, they own Harmonix, so they made like a thing.
Of
And they've
course they do.
announced that eventually they'll have controller support, like actual Guitar Hero controller support for it. And now I'm like, God fucking damn it, they're going to release a controller and I'm going to buy it and play Fortnite. I hate myself. Why am I like this? But Rhythm Games they scratch that itch for me, mate. They just scratch that itch. But maybe one day. Who knows? There wasn't that much. That's the only game it came with. There was like a bunch of other smaller games, but nothing huge.
As far as I'm aware, that's the only VR game that came out this year.
There's a load of ports and stuff like that.
The only one I remember hearing about.
What about the VR game of the year,
about
Resident
the
Evil
Yeah,
VR
Resident
game
Evil
of the
came out as
year?
a day and date thing, I think. I think that was a launch date. VR mode and stuff like that. But again, I'm not a Resident Evil person yet, and I feel like I'd shit myself if I played that game in VR. Like, I don't think that's a good sign. I know Hunter's like, it's not that bad, but I know the bit with the dollhouse would make me shit myself in VR. I know that that's not my jam.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all good. Anything else, Kyle? Or
Well,
was
coming
that
up
it?
to the end of February, we had my game of the year, Octopath Traveler 2.
That came out. I'm kidding. I own a copy of it. Monday
So
I'll
do
get
I.
to it.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic little video game.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Huge improvement over the first game.
Yeah, as far as like balancing and all of that, it was just it's much easier to play.
I'll give it one thing. I think it
Yeah.
might have. This is great critical analysis from myself here. I think it might have my favorite box art of the year it's a very nice box art. It's just a very
Oh, you're telling
pleasing
me it
box
beats
art.
Street Fighter 6?
Oh, anything,
Surely you jest.
everything beats Street Fighter 6 Hunter. I genuinely think even this year's Call of Duty box art probably beat Street Fighter 6. Like, that's in the generic fight. I think it even lost that. But there's something very pleasing about that artwork.
It is a nice piece of art.
Especially when I look at other ones that came out this year, and I'm like, Tears of the Kingdom, that's fine. Did anyone see that Game Awards box? That
Oh,
art?
wasn't that the box art?
Do you know what it screams to me? It screams to me like that was supposed to be the box. You know how Europe had a different box art? I feel like the
Yeah.
box art everybody got was the Europe version, and that was supposed to be the edgy NA version that was supposed to go with it.
That looked, because it looks like a cool thematic mirror to the artwork of Breath of the Wild.
Whereas the Tears of the Kingdom one looks like a mirror of the European one, because that was all blue skies and very bright. So yeah, weird, but yeah. Octopath Traveler 2,
That'll be
nice
the Switch 2
work.
edition's box art for Tears of the Kingdom.
Until you jest, that will be what happens. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Save that for the fantasy critic. we'll put some extra bets in. That's a good idea. Put some extra bets in.
Extra point bets.
Yeah,
just
extra point bets.
throw out some nonsense for 10 points apiece.
Throw some just throw some shit at the wall, see if anything sticks. That's a great idea. But yeah. Octopath Traveler 2 for many people, Kyle. You're not alone. I know a lot of people that was their game of the year. I think even friend of you, Jason Schreier, I think it's his game of the year as well, or one of them. I know he's very fond of Octopath Traveler 2.
He's got good taste.
Maybe one day you'll.
Too bad he doesn't have a sense of humor.
Maybe one day you'll.
God, what is he, a COD fan?
No, he's not a COD fan.
That joke will still be relevant in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, probably. Wonder if Christopher Judge has resurfaced yet. We'll see.
Is he okay?
I hope so. People take that way too personally. Like, I know it sounds like a very sus thing to say that people can't take a joke nowadays, but that one in particular, I feel, is a people can't. Like, that was a joke. Come on, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, that'll do it for February.
We're on to March. Video games for March, dude. I love video games for March.
Videos for March.
Yeah.
What
happened in March?
Hunter, did you play Wolong?
I played the demo for Wolong.
I played it
so
for
I got
about
a couple
an hour.
Hours.
Oh,
yeah,
good work,
Ethan and I got the same amount of time out of it via Game Pass and free demo.
When you look, it's like Ethan's.
What are your impressions on that?
I think it was pretty good.
I didn't like it.
Like,
I really didn't like it.
It seems like the natural. It's essentially Neo, but take it and put it in like the Warring Three Kingdoms setting instead of the insane feudal Japan story they had going on in the first game.
And that's the thing, is feudal Japan's cooler. So I was like, you lost me, bro. I don't know. It was like, to me, and we'll get to this later when we were talking about Lies of P. Whenever I've surprisingly played a lot of demos for Souls-like games in the past. Like, I played the Neo demo, stuff like that. And it's like, I played a lot of Souls-likes before even dabbling with the Souls series. And it was like, there's something, a lot of times when I play a Souls-like, I'm like, this is fine, but it just isn't hitting the same way, you know? It's like, it wasn't.
I always felt like Neo was the best at distinguishing itself from the Dark Souls thing, because
I agreed up until this year. Up until this year, I agreed. We'll get to that later, but just something about Wolong just didn't hit for me. And now looking back at it, if you have Game Pass and you're looking for something that is a Souls-like experience, I think there's a better one that you can now go and play. But if you're really looking, if that kind of era interests you,
the character customization had like three different sections of your hair that you could customize. That's like revolutionary.
100%. I also think it does commit that Souls-like felony of having the opposite of a Dark Souls intro, where it literally holds your hand through everything and it just has text pop up. And to be fair, Lies of P also does this, not as badly as Wolong, but it's like it literally just is tutorial screen. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. It's like every 5 seconds it's flashing a text box up at me, and I'm like, I don't want
Yeah.
this. Chances are, if I'm playing this, I've probably played a Souls-like before because I'm looking for something that isn't. I've
Mhm.
played all the FromSoft ones. I'm looking for a new one, right? It's like, I don't need
Yeah.
all of this. But oh well, it's still pretty decent. People seem to like it. I just wasn't overly keen.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up Souls-like because I'm looking through the list of games for March and I'm like, I didn't play any of like none of this seems familiar, but like this was the month I was playing Elden Ring.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So which
I didn't
yeah,
play a lot of
didn't
stuff.
seem like a lot really came out in March
I mean, I
until we
could.
Me
get to
too.
the end.
Wait, what came out at the end of March? Am I forgetting a
A
big
little video game called Resident Evil 4
Oh,
remake.
that thing. Um,
And also Chia and Have a Nice Death.
Have a Nice Death was really cool. I
Those two
like
that
things
came out
happened.
this year.
Have a Nice Death. Yeah, it came out like 2 days before Resi. I didn't have a chance to play
I
it until
thought that
after I.
was. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was a 2022 game. I genuinely did think that was a
No,
2022
I
game.
no,
also kind of thought it already came out and it just got ports.
Yeah, I
But
no,
thought.
no. It went into early access. I think was
oh, maybe
why,
that's what I
There
because
was
you go.
thinking.
it was one of those games I was gonna try and draft, but I got early access, so I couldn't.
Mm.
No, fair enough.
So
Fair
yeah,
enough.
but it was really cool. It's got its cool little spooky time vibe to it. All of the extra characters you meet while you're trying to do the roguelike cycle there is they're all fun.
I really like the art style of it, and
Yeah.
I one day I'm hoping I'll play it. It's one of those indie games where I'm like, that's pretty good. Hopefully one day I'll pick it up. Fingers crossed.
Mm.
But yeah, Resident Evil 4. That's an interesting one.
Great video game.
They're really good.
But I mean, I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. It was
As
already
of
considered one of the greatest games when it
as
released.
of recording this episode, it's currently it's a tie between Resident Evil 4 and Tears of the Kingdom for my game of the year.
Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is funny because if you watch my original impressions of the game, I wasn't overly hot on it, but I can safely say that it's the only video game that's come out this year where I've played through it 6 times. So it's like,
Yeah, I didn't think after your platinum playthrough
Yeah, usually
you'd call it your
platinuming a game
best.
changes the opinion for the worse.
yeah, but here's the thing is like I keep thinking and I'm like, if someone was like, hey, go and play Resident Evil 4 again, you have to. I'm like, okay, I'll go play Resident Evil 4 again. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I mean, yeah, there are worse games you could play.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's because it was such a surprise that I did enjoy it as much as I did. I think that's the
Hmm.
thing is I wasn't expecting to like it. I was expecting to play it. I put it on the easiest. I remember the first impressions video. I set it to the easiest difficulty. I did the village sequence. I was very stressed about the whole ordeal. And then I was like, you know what? I'm finding this a bit too easy. Let me change the difficulty. And the game was like, you can't change the difficulty. You're locked in. So I quit the game and restarted and played the first 2 hours again on normal because I was like, no, I want this to be harder. And like,
Damn.
very rarely would I do that for a video
Yeah.
game, and I did, and I had a blast playing it. I have my gripes with it, but I have my gripes with Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I don't think, it to me, it's like I know for a lot of people, why should Resident Evil 4 be a game of the year? Not? It's just more Resident Evil 4, and I'm like, well, Resident Evil 4 was a brand new experience to me, which is why I think I'm seeing it in a completely different light to some other people.
Same.
Whereas Tears of the Kingdom, when we get to that, I still think that game is fabulous and I love it. But also, it's derivative of the original. And to me, looking at it 6 months on, I'm like, man, there's some great ideas behind Tears of the Kingdom. There's some stuff I really love about Tears of the Kingdom. But I remember when Tears of the Kingdom first came out, I was like, oh yeah, this is replacing Breath of the Wild to me on my favorite games list. It'll go in number 2, right where Breath of the Wild was. And now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, I feel like that first playthrough of Breath of the Wild was so fucking special. And Tears of the Kingdom, even though it's better in every single way, I still cherish that first playthrough of Breath of the Wild more than I cherish that first playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom. So that's why I've kind of got that contention.
Mhm.
But no, I think Resident Evil 4 is absolutely fabulous. I think it's great.
Yeah, certainly. They took one of the best games ever and made it, depending on your own opinion, even better than it was before. And,
100, yeah.
changing the story and stuff so it makes sense too, rather than the first game. The
I
first
think it's
version
very
of the
rare.
game.
I think it's a very rare game, Resident Evil 4, and I think the Resident Evil 2 is also one of those rare games as well. I feel like they've kind of captured lightning in a bottle twice, where they have turned, especially for Resident Evil 4, they've turned a beloved game, literally a top of the mountain. This is as if
one of the most influential games ever was the
of all
first version.
time, and took it and fundamentally changed a lot about it. They didn't just go, here it is in shiny graphics again, the exact same you remember it. They took parts out. They added new bits. They changed the stuff. They changed the narrative. And still, even it may not be, it might not be to everybody's taste, not everybody, but it's still fundamentally an amazing game and amazing in its own right. It stands alone on its own as an incredible piece of art. And I think it's very rare for somebody to do that. And the fact that Capcom has been able to do that with Resident Evil 2 as well and 4, like this is as good as if Nintendo ever had the balls to remake Ocarina of Time and made it into an incredible experience, which it isn't. But don't fucking start some fires, right? But I genuinely think it's very rare for a remake to come out that is truly as exceptional as Resident Evil 4. And I don't think we will see another one like that for a long time. I genuinely don't.
Yeah, for sure.
Highest form of praise, really, but there you go.
For sure. Then
but that castle section did go on for a bit too long, guys. I've just got to that fucking area with the water shit area. Like, I hate it. Still hate it. 6 playthroughs later. That whole fucking room, awful. But oh well. Not everything's perfect.
Right then.
We on to April?
After the big high of Resi 4, the rest of the year the rest of March kind of died down. Dredge did come out at the end of it.
Yeah, I didn't get to it until months later, but Dredge is really good. I'm glad that it maintained its people kept talking about it throughout the year, which was nice. I'm glad that it got its shout out at the end of the year.
Roses, yeah.
But
it's been a great year for indie games as well, man. Like, genuinely,
it sure has.
Everyone's been hitting out of the park. It's crazy, yeah, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Anything else for March, or are we on to April?
I think that's going to do it for March.
Cool. Not a bad year, not a bad month. What happened in April?
Let's see here. That's a really good question.
Seriously, what happened in April? Does anyone keep track?
It's a really good question.
Nobody. I can tell you, it wasn't April when Suicide Squad got delayed. I feel like that happened.
I think you're right.
Because it was like a month beforehand. It just was like, yeah, we're gonna move to next year. Lol. Bye. Right. I can tell you what April. April was, or at least end of March, Mario movie. We can mention that real quick. That released in the world of video games. Any changing of opinions on that one, Kyle?
Before it shut down.
Yeah. It was we didn't talk about Last of Us TV show. Last of Us TV show was fantastic. Mario movie was fun. It was a pretty fun film.
It was a good film. I enjoyed watching it.
In terms of April, I can tell you that Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores came out and Coffee Talk 2 came out.
Yeah, that was all.
And it's Kyle, you forgetting a little expansion that might not be on there called.
As soon as you said,
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed.
Yeah, I'm like, something happened in April.
I was gonna say, like, we had a lot of reviews that month.
Yeah.
So let's go beat for beat then. Start with Coffee Talk 2, Hunter. I feel like you've talked about this game a lot over the course of this year.
Coffee Talk 2 is great. Like, it's really good at making a setting that's just comfortable to be in and you enjoy existing and interacting with. All of the characters are nice and pleasant, and they go on their own ways. And
have we lost him? I'll finish your sentence for him. It's it just provides a vibe. This is a vibey game. Characters are cool, and it manages to set a tone really well. I think was what Hunter was trying to say before he phased out of existence.
That's what I was trying to say.
Just open up his review and start reading that.
Coffee Talk 2 was an experience. I guess moving on to, did you play Burning Shores, or was it just me?
I did play it eventually, yeah.
Burning Shores, I think is interesting. I think Future Redeemed and Burning Shores are the polar opposites of each other, of a good way to do a DLC and a bad way to do a DLC. I don't think Burning Shores is a bad DLC, but I think it's a bad way to do a DLC. I don't think adding an endgame area to a game that has been out for a year and a bit is a good idea ever. I feel like it's a terrible idea because first thing that happens, you hop back in and you're like, what the fuck was I doing? Where am I? How do I play?
How do the buttons work?
Yeah. And it's just like the game expects you to be like, hey, you've just played it. The game's almost like, I bet you've done a new game plus to get here. And I'm like, I don't have time to replay Horizon Forbidden West. It's so long. I don't have time. But I thought it was fine. It was the definition of it was fine. It did nothing.
Cool. It was a decent way to kill a few hours.
It was
Its highs were
inoffensive.
it was inoffensive. That's the whole thing. I still think that was it Seika? Was that the name of the other character?
Yeah.
How do I remember her name, dude? Like, genuinely, Ethan's getting better, guys. They were fucking hell this year. It's proven that I can start.
I like how you couldn't
names.
remember a single person barring Aloy from the base game, but
I can remember Seika. Yeah.
Couldn't remember the lad Studious.
You know what's funny is if you actually ask me right now to name some other characters, I can remember Katalo. Katalo was his name, wasn't it? The guy.
Katalo. I don't know. You're the one remembering.
And but if you to ask me anybody else, there was Zoe. I remember Zoe.
Yeah.
And I remember there was the other girl, but that was added to the cast, but I don't ever remember her name. The guy from the Quen. I don't remember what her name was, but I remember the tribe's called the Quen. Yeah. And I don't remember I can't remember the name of the original two either because I'm such a good person. I'll never remember their names. You can't make me.
To be fair, I could never remember. Genuinely, Varl's introduction in the second game, I was like, "Who are you?"
It was Erend and Varl.
Erend, yeah.
I got there in the end. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I still think that the kind of relationship built between Aloy and Seika did feel too quick. I feel like
it was bizarre.
I feel like that was something that you could have started in this game and then expanded upon it as we go through the third, because it just
or saved her for the next game and have it being a thing that was ongoing.
Especially because I'm perfectly fine with it, but it's like Aloy as a character is so kind of she's such an introvert. She refuses help from everybody. She is so kind of cornered off from the rest of the world, and it really takes her time to warm up. So the fact that she warms up and
2 encounters with this girl and suddenly she cared about what she thinks of her.
It feels so out of place, where I'm like, we could have built that up a bit more for a better payoff. But I don't hate the idea of Aloy having a relationship in general.
No, it doesn't bother me at all. It's just weird that the execution was weird. Like, say if Talana from the Lodge, they just pulled the trigger on those two, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like it's as if in The Last of Us Part 2 that the scene that you meet Dana in the dance when you first encounter her in the game, if that was the first time they met, and then within like an hour they just, I'd be like, I need more time, either figuratively in the timeline sense, or literally as in make it an 8-hour expansion or something, so I feel like I've spent more time with her, not just a couple of encounters. It just kind of, like I say, it felt kind of rushed. Future Redeemed, though, like, let's talk about Future Redeemed. I feel like it's been a big year when a massive expansion to a Xenoblade Chronicles game kind of feels like a footnote in it. How are you feeling on Future Redeemed 7 months later, Kyle? How are you feeling?
I really enjoyed my time with it. I think that it was a fantastic way to cap off the whole Zanza arc of Xenoblade. I'm excited to see where the series goes next, what they want to do to expand on it. And Matthew Xenoblade is one of my favorite characters from this year.
Matthew and A are fantastic additions to the Xenoblade lore. Like I say, I think they're two of my favorite characters in the whole franchise, really. I still think, as a like looking at it, like if we look at the entire franchise and we look at expansions, I think it's weaker than Torna. I still think it's
Hmm.
weaker than Torna. I think that whereas when I played Torna and I know it was cut content, so it was expanded cut content. So when I go, oh, that feels like it was essential reading. Whereas I feel like
Yeah.
this isn't essential reading. I feel like if you're a fan of Xenoblade and want some kind of conclusion and go, I really want to see Shulk and Rex one last time, then you can go and play it. But it's one of those things where I don't know if I've become kind of immune to fan service as we've gone on, because I feel like every franchise under the sun is trying to do it. But
Mhm.
I'm sitting there and I'm going, I would have really have loved just even more of Matthew and A and that than the Shulk and Rex thing, or have it set after the original game and have the characters come in that way.
Mm.
There's bits that I loved, but it left me kind of, I love it, but it's still, if I have a hierarchy, if I have a tier list of games, I'm like Torna and 3 are still like S tier for me. Then I'd probably put Future Redeemed with 2 as fantastic, and then I'd put 1 in Future Connected. Well, Future Connected is like at fucking bottom, and then
That
1
it's
is
its
like
own little world.
Future
yeah, it's
Connected
like
is in Button Valley.
3 and Torna are like S. Future Redeemed and 2 are like an A to me. B is like Xeno 1, and then like a fucking D is Future Connected. Like it's a massive jump down compared to everything else. Still fabulous though.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I mean, if you like Xenoblade 3 was my game of the year last year. If you like Xenoblade
Same.
3, you owe it to yourself to play Future Redeemed at some point. I think it's fantastic. It's very good.
Hmm.
Um, and I
He
believe, did
means
Jedi
you,
Survivor come
Hunter.
out in April? Am I
Nah.
stupid?
Look,
It did.
everything you've spoken about that leads me to believe I wouldn't care about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's one of those things, Hunter, where
Well, I tried.
it'd be one of those things where if when we get to Switch 2, if they start doing some ports of things and they start upping, like if they were to do a complete package of 3 and if they did like a complete package of 3 and Future Redeemed and it was like $40 for both, like a
Yeah.
lower price point, and it's new and it's been updated, it's 60 FPS, or it's not as clunky as and gunky as every Switch game is currently, then I might be like, Hunter, that might actually be a worthwhile investment if there's no other games coming out in that month and
Yeah.
it's free, because there is stuff to like about it. But Hunter
No,
isn't
I
the
believe
kind of
there's good stuff there. It's
Hunter's not
just
the kind of
also like
Hunter's not a fan servicey kind of person.
I don't
Like,
care about Shulk and Rex.
to be fair, neither do I. There is still stuff to love about it though.
Yeah.
um Jedi Survivor also came out in
Yeah,
April.
it did.
That's the
Yeah.
other big one. Hunter, you've had time to simmer on your thoughts about Jedi Survivor, so I'll let you talk
I have.
first.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to, which was my prevailing opinion of Fallen Order when I beat that too. But
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be a pretty decent improvement over the first game, and it was. And definitely, I'd say that the character interactions were what carried it through with the central cast there.
Yeah.
All of the old central cast, that is. Their new character sucked.
I agree. I didn't hate Bode, but I thought it was kind of forgettable. And whatever his Dagon or whatever his name is,
Dagon?
fucking awful. Awful antagonist. Um, I think Jedi Survivor suffers from what many a game this year suffered that I really like. I'd even say the same for Zelda, and yet when we get to that, Final Fantasy 16 definitely, Starfield definitely. Second half falling flat. I feel like the first half, Jedi Survivor, until you get to Grease, the first 2 hours, really bad. It's like when it's just Cal and this ragtag group of
This
people you know
idiot
are gonna
crew
die
that you
instantly.
don't know?
Yeah,
It's so dumb.
really bad. When you get to Grease, I'm like, oh, it's starting to get good again. And then Marion comes back. You're like, okay, this is good again. Now we're here. We're on track. And then it keeps sending me back to Kobo. I'm like, oh, fucking fine, whatever. And then it hits like that halfway point, and I don't know what it is. It feels like, I don't know about you, Hunter. It felt like you beat you get to you beat the final boss, and you're like, oh, I'm done. But I don't feel like this game's over. And then the game goes, no, we've still got another third to go. And I'm like,
it's
we
like
don't need that.
beating the antagonist in a Persona game.
It is because you're like, I know God's around the corner.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like in any normal story, this would be over. It would be wrapping up, but I know how you are, so you're not. And it was the same feeling, and it's really annoying because I feel like if they had just adjusted some stuff, they still could have done just about everything and made it made it a neater thing rather than just kind of snipping one thread and um, burning the two together there.
they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're just trying to cram so much
Like,
stuff
it would
in
have
there.
been possible to do the twist that they had before the confrontation that happened right before the twist, and it would still
I
have
think
been
there's so much stuff
fine.
where if you're a Star Wars fan, you're sitting there, you're eating it up, you're having the time of your life. If you're someone like me, who is what I like to call a casual Star Wars fan, I have seen most of the films once, and I have watched The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. I have played Fallen Order and Survivor. Right, I'm very much I'm as casual a Star Wars fan as you can get. Basically, I'm a passive observer of the Star Wars universe. To have all this, I don't want to say junk because I'm sure a lot of people like it, but all the High Republic stuff and all this other stuff going on, and like at the end of the day, I just want a story about Cal and having to live in this era between episodes 3 and 4 where Jedi's are being hunted and basically like you're on the run. I just want this kind of, you know, I love the idea of having this Jedi that has to survive by any cost and do like
Yeah.
sometimes have to draw the line between the light and the dark to try and find this area where he can survive and find what his purposes in life, because you know that he's in an area where if he was successful in anything, we would have heard about it in episode 4, or everything would have been all dandy by the time that Luke came around, right?
Yeah, he's definitely strong enough to, like, the abilities he displays in gameplay lead me to believe that the Empire shouldn't have been an issue for so many years.
And it's also one of those things where you know that this franchise is probably going to end with either one, Cal dying, or two, Cal giving up the Jedi Order and finding happiness and deciding that life is more important. It's probably where this is going, right? So it's like to have this game that's just bouncing back and forth and trying to do all these morals and stuff like that, and I'm like, it's not that deep. It's a fucking Star Wars game. Can we just get to the point? I don't need a twist antagonist at the end because the first one was bad enough. I don't need a second bad antagonist. Like, please.
Yeah.
And it's like I think there's plenty to love about the game. I think there's some really strong points. I think it improves a lot of the stuff about the first game. I think it goes backwards on a couple of things from the first game. Like I say, whoever decided that Kobo would be this planet that required 7 fucking revisits, I retract whatever game designer award, like whatever title you have, I
Revoked.
retract that. I'm like, no, going back to a planet 7 times, that's not good game design. You give me that title back. You're not having it. That's awful design. I would have taken. I remember everyone's complaint. There's only 4 planets in Jedi Fallen Order. That's cool. And this game was like, yeah, we'll have 5. And I'm like, don't fucking lie to me, because one of them is used in a one-off mission, and the second one is used in another one-off mission. That's called the intro. We never go back to fucking Coruscant. So that's 2. You've got 3 planets this time. You went lower. Theoretically, you went lower than last time. And one of them's a moon that isn't really one either. So it's really 2. It's just Jeddah and Kobo. It's like you've done me dirty here. You've done me dirty. I wanted like 7 or 8 planets. So, but it's fun enough. I had fun with it.
Yeah, it certainly has its issues. I still think it still has one of the high action moments is still I think one of the best that have happened this year.
Oh, there's the one moment on Jeddah, which is the big set piece that everybody talks about. It's one of the. I'll give them this. It is one of the better. It's one of the best, if not the best, Uncharted moment I've played in an Uncharted
I think
game.
it blows everything Uncharted's ever done out of the water.
The only one that I think that kind of would even contest it in my mind, and that's mainly just because of story and the dialogue and everything, is that one Uncharted 4 scene that everyone saw because it was a gameplay trailer with the riding on the backs of trucks and the grapple hook and all that stuff. I still look at that whole sequence and go, that's witchcraft. Having all of that work and just be like, it's very rare for a set piece for when you're actually in it. When you watch a gameplay demo, you're like, oh, of course it looks that great. And then when you get to it, you're a goopy goblin that can't play games properly, so it looks like ass, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that sequence looks as good playing it as it does watching it, that in Uncharted 4. I'm like, it's one of those rare instances. And I think this one's another one where it's like, man, it just works. It's great. It's fantastic. Funny enough, there's another one that I think is also a great Uncharted set piece moment that is not in an Uncharted game later. It's in this little game called Spider-Man 2. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, other than that, I liked my time with it. I think it's a solid game, but it'd be on my top 10. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, for a year like this, it's pretty good.
Damn respectable. It just has so many
Yeah.
problems. Like, I'm like,
It's just a lot of
stick it in the
small
oven.
things.
Stick it in the oven a bit longer as well.
Well, you left yours in the oven until December,
And there were
so
still issues. Like I say, they were T-posing across the ship.
it was
most of
still
it.
raw.
Well, Ethan's not the one who was making the game, so it's closer to leaving it in
know.
the fridge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
okay,
I
fair.
also think it was very funny, to be honest, because I remember there'll never be something more funnier than me being in Star Wars land in Orlando and opening up Twitter and then just getting a tweet from Respawn saying, "We fixed the game," and I'm like, of all the places for me to be when this game's finally fixed, I was standing in line for the Star Wars ride. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Guess I'll play it when all the other games are done releasing. That's crazy, but yeah. Fun little coincidence.
Yeah.
Anyway, onwards to May. I'm sure there was no games out in May.
Dude,
Maybe a
on to
tiny little
May.
indie project that came
Yeah,
out.
we had this fun little game called Another Fisherman's Tale for the VR.
Oh damn! I'm sure Sam had a blast.
Everyone's favorite game.
Yeah, I'm sure he had a
I
blast.
also just looked it up. It apparently scored really well. So
Hey, there you go. Good for them, dude. Good fisherman.
good for
We
you,
love a good fishing
VR
game.
VR folks.
Hell yeah.
You have
Darkest-
you have two good games.
Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah. Anyway, are we gonna
All
talk
right.
about
Yeah, we'll stop beating around the bush.
Zelda?
The Zelda of Zelda.
It finally came out.
The Legend
Hunter?
of Legend.
How you feeling on it?
Oh, I still think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
My opinions have not cooled. I think it's a fantastic game. Still has some of the best moments that I can think of in the year. Every day was an adventure for me. It was great. I liked it a lot.
I haven't played a game like Breath of the Wild. It's like Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I have. It's called Tears of the Kingdom. I've not played a game like Tears of the Kingdom like this year that was genuinely like Starfield was a close second, but that was in a different reason. But it's like where I've sat there and I've just pissed about, and then I close the game and I still feel like I've accomplished something. I'm like, that was a good day,
Yeah.
you know. Like it's been a very
Like,
a very rare experience to have a game
playing
like that.
Baldur's Gate the past couple of weeks has been almost similar, except Baldur's Gate for some reason feels like I do a lot of things, but it doesn't feel like I do anything. Zelda somehow managed. I could have been piddling about with cutting down trees for all day for some reason, and I would have still felt like I accomplished something.
Yeah. I think my main like quirks of Tears of the Kingdom that I'm feeling, like I said, I mentioned it a bit with Resident Evil, is the thing that still gets me about it isn't like it's mainly Nintendo problems more than it is Zelda. Like it's stuff like when they said they were doing a sequel to Breath of the Wild, I thought they were going to actually do a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and I mean, they kind of did. But also, it's still in that Nintendo limbo where it feels like characters are there's not really character development other than, hey, we've gotten older. We're not going to refer to. It's like, it's that weird halfway house where it's still like, oh, I want to go over here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd go over to somewhere like, I want to go back to Link's old house from Breath of the Wild, and you go there and you get a load of little juicy lore dumps or whatever from journals. You're like, this is great. And I'm like, I'm going to go back to the Shrine of Resurrection to see what happened. And it's just fucking gone. And their lore explanation is just, I guess they disappeared. I'm like, any other studio
The fact that the
that.
Yiga had occupied it as a little, satellite hideout kind of cracked me up. I'm like, that's insulting. This was my place of rest for 100 years, and you've appropriated it. How
And
dare
you just
you?
upended it.
And it's just like, stuff like the towers just disappearing and stuff like that. And the whole idea behind it is just, it disappeared. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's the thing is as much as I would the day that Nintendo decides they're going all in on actually like being like, let's tell a really great story in one of these will be potentially the greatest game to ever happen. Because
And hear me
they
out.
only
Controversial opinion on it. I think if they had actually made it a proper narrative sequel and properly focused on it, I think it would have had a higher chance of beating Baldur's Gate 3. I genuinely do.
yeah, yeah, I think it like yeah, well, I probably people love people if it, assuming it played the same, yeah,
I feel like that was everyone's main critique of Tears of the Kingdom was, I wish the narrative did more.
like that was everyone's that was one of my takeaways from Breath of the Wild too. But
Yeah.
like uh what am I trying to say? Zelda loves to like give you the spark of imagining the rest for yourself. And some people aren't willing to do that and I tend to be
And I
because
feel it worked
I've
better in
been
Breath of the Wild.
playing
That's the thing, though. You've lost all your
I've been
memories,
playing it
all of
since I
that.
was a kid. So I'm always willing to be like, "Oh yeah, I think this was the Forest Temple looks like it used to be this cool mansion that got taken back by the elements
And
and
don't get me
whatnot."
wrong, there are still some great moments. It's like going back to the Great Plateau for the first time, and then having the voice call out to you,
Oh,
and all
that
that
adventure
creepy
was so
shit,
great.
and me going, "Oh fuck no," and walked the complete opposite direction and went, "I ain't doing that shit. I ain't having that shit," and walked out. I was like,
Or
"No,
like
no way."
the
Or
I did the
yeah,
whole wind up to the Wind Temple. That was the first one I did. I thought
yeah.
that whole sequence leading up to it was fantastic because at
Yeah, and
some point,
it never peaked past that since like the whole time. I was like, oh, this is just the
yeah,
first one. I can't wait to see the rest of them. And they were all laying by comparison. I'm like, well, the fucking chose poorly, I guess. Or I still think the whole Zelda reveal, which I won't ruin for people who haven't played it. I still think that is absolutely fantastic. And once that clicks in your head, is like a great moment. I
I
think it's
spent the
like
next week because I didn't actually go and pull the trigger on doing the rest of the story until like a week after I realized what it was, and I
yeah,
was like, "Oh no."
like
I was depressed for like a whole week,
it was so
being
good,
like,
but then at the same time, it's like Breath of the Wild had memories. This one had the tears, and it's like the memories worked better because you could watch them in any order and piece it together. If you got one wrong tier in the wrong order, you'd get the solution, and then you're just watching the fucking you'd get the twist straight away, and then you'd just be like, well. Now I've got to find 11 others and just sit on what I've done, and there's no real point to the rest of it, really. It's like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, man, I wish there was more. Like I said, I wish there was more narrative kind of sustenance to this. I wish
structure.
that. Yeah, I feel like I wish there was more. I wish that we didn't have the stupid champion talks every fucking time where it's like, here's my tier. Look at this shit. Like every time, every dungeon went the exact same way, and I'm like, it's like I had a good time. But I think pissing about was I think pissing about was the best part of that game, and I thought the same of Breath of the Wild, and I was expecting them to actually improve it, and they didn't the second time around. I still think it's a fantastic game though. I truly
Yeah,
do.
and like the fact that mechanically everything they did works and it doesn't like even threaten not working while you play it. You can do so much insane nonsense in that game and it
I still
functions
stand by Ultra Hand
and
having the worst fucking controls in a video game that I've played in a good fucking while.
yeah.
Um, Again, Nintendo kind of gets the pass on the jank because, of course, they do.
Because Nintendo.
Any other dev gives you that control scheme, everyone would berate them. Nintendo, you're like, I'll live with it. It's cool, and I
Yeah.
will live with it because it was cool. But
Yeah.
it's still like, oh my god, fucking holding L1 and
I
doing
mean,
all that. Oh,
I think
it's
the
so
reason
bad.
I was willing to tolerate it was because I was never trying to make anything insane, but it was easy enough to just do what I needed to do.
See, I was, and it was just like it was funny, but it was awkward. It's like me and Cal were watching Tim Rogers play Tears of the Kingdom the other week, and he was building a big fuck off bridge across the lake that was like about 20 pieces of wood all glued together, and the man tried to pick it up.
Didn't
And it was
Sam do
just
that
like
once?
watching a car crash in real time. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
take your eyes away, but it wasn't good. Like it was just like yeah, it was just like oh, it's funny, but it was kind of comical. Kyle, as someone who didn't play Breath of the Wild, how are
Ugh.
you feeling on Tears of the Kingdom 6 months later?
I wished I liked this game like Hunter likes it,
Mm.
because my general experience was that I was kind of just I wasn't really having a great time playing the game. I think that the opening of Tears of the Kingdom was fucking miserable for
I
starters.
agree.
As someone who didn't play Breath of the Wild, trying to spaghetti my way through those disconnected islands and figure out what my buttons do, I think that was just one of the worst experiences I've had this
I agree.
year.
I think the Great Plateau is a better start. I also hate how linear the start is as well, with you having to do a lot of story just to get the paraglider. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
annoying. That annoyed me as well because I usually, as soon as I've given the open world, the first thing I want to do is do what I did with Breath of the Wild, piss off, like
Mhm.
goodbye, and piss about for dozens of hours. But it was
Oh,
like, no, you keep going.
My
Keep
also, this
favorite
listening.
game
part of the first day was you go first.
I was just gonna say the game also opened up with a forced walk and talk segment, which pissed me off, but
Which is
that's
again,
beside the
it
point.
feels counterintuitive to Breath of the Wild, whose primary objective was within a minute, within 90 seconds of that game starting, title screen, piss off wherever you fucking want to go on the Great Plateau.
Mhm.
And this game was like, nah, we're gonna hold you out. And as someone who's a fan like me and Hunter, who was really reveling, that's like the most story you get in the whole fucking game. So I was reveling in it. I was like, oh my god, they're doing it. We're actually getting narrative beats. There's folk like talking to Zelda, all this stuff. I'm like, this is sick. I can't wait for this to happen in the rest of the game. It doesn't, but it's like, oh, it gave
Yeah.
me a bit of hope.
What were you
But for
gonna
Yeah.
say,
someone that's just
Hunter?
hopping in, I'm
Oh,
sure that's
it was
miserable.
Ethan was talking about getting the paraglider and screwing off or whatever, and it
Yeah.
reminded me of touching down on the surface and seeing the one shrine that was off in like it was in one elevated spot or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna go do that before following where it's pointing me at because I see it and I don't want to forget about it, and
Mhm.
immediately just got smacked around by the gloom hands. I like,
Oh, no.
all right, well, I'll see you later.
Or it was there's the big fuck off hole that you can walk past.
Oh
And
yeah,
like, my immediate thought is, I want to jump in that hole. And the game's
yeah.
like, no, you can't jump in that hole until I tell you you can jump in that hole. And I'm like, this feels anti Breath of the Wild to me. I feel like in Breath of the Wild, they would have let me fall down that hole and die, but they would have let me
Mhm.
fall down that hole. Whereas the game's like, hey, you can't jump down that hole. I'm like, "Oh, fucking let me jump down that. Let me have my death in peace, dude. Let me die. Like, come on. Let me at least see what's
Yeah.
down there and then go, oh, I should probably grab a paraglide. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
no, I mean, I would never say Tears of the Kingdom is a bad game. I'll just say I didn't click with it.
Neither. I still think it's a fabulous game, but when I'm looking at it now, 7 months on, I'm looking at Breath of the Wild. I'm looking at Tears of the Kingdom. Like Tears of the Kingdom is the better game. It truly is. But I don't think I had this. I think the interesting thing for me was I was on a mission in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, I want to go here and see what's different. I want to go here and see what's different. I want to go back to Tarry Town. I want to do all this kind of stuff. Whereas I feel like the first one was more special because I was just prattling about with no destination. And it
Yeah.
was just like, I feel like that was a truly wonderful experience. That even if it's a new Hyrule next time, even if it's a new area, I'm never going to have that exact same feeling again that I did from Breath of the Wild. And I think that that'll always be a special thing. Like, it will always will be, and I'll always cherish it. And I still love Tears
Mhm.
of the Kingdom. And I think Tears of the Kingdom, in almost every way, is a better game than Breath of the Wild. It's just Breath of the Wild has that one thing, and that's the blind experience. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that's really special.
Yeah. I don't know. My experience with Tears of the Kingdom was that I had fun, but at some point I just stopped feeling compelled to do the shrines and explore the depths and all that. And I'm just like, I'm just ready for this to be done.
Controversial. I think that I honestly think the deaths were pointless. It's like I think there's a cool quest in there. I think the Koga stuff is brilliant. It's one of my favorite
Oh
quests.
yeah,
Is
I was so
Koga
happy when he
is
showed up. I was
basically
so happy to just see the Yiga people again.
that he's the Zelda equivalent of Team Rocket, right? And it's just like the goofy
Yeah, it's
fucking
great.
goober. I love him. He's great. But also when I think about how much dev time this game was probably delayed and delayed and delayed because of the depths, and I'm like, other than that one side quest, actually exploring the depths as a concept, miserable. It's fucking.
Boring.
I get on my air bike and I fly around. That's what I did. I did all the routes, but I just flew around on my air bike for 90% of the time and did it in 4 hours.
Do you have enough light bulbs and arrows to get to the next point?
Well, Kyle, let me
Let's
tell
No,
you.
you
find
don't need
out.
those.
Kyle, you only need one. You strap it onto your bike like a fucking headlight on a motorbike, and off you go. That's what I did, and I was fucking vrooming. Like, that's it.
Put a luminous rock on your shield.
No, you said that, and I tried it, and it didn't work as well as I wanted
I
it
couldn't
to.
get
So I
it
was
to
like,
work
yeah,
either,
I couldn't
dude.
get it to work
I
either.
think we
So I was like,
played two
yeah.
different video games.
I do too.
Skill issue.
Probably.
But no, I still think Tears of the Kingdom is a fantastic game. It's brilliant. But Breath of the Wild it's still that magic experience. It is still that magic experience.
Mm.
And I know that here's the thing. I know that if they give it another try, and I hope they do, don't go back to old Zelda. You'll lose me instantly. But if they give it another try, I know that magic can happen again. Because Xenoblade 3 was that magic again from Xenoblade Pass, where I was like, you know what? I think they can do it. And they did it. It was more of the same, but it was that fantastic, and the story was so fucking banging. I'm like, it's got that magic, and I feel Zelda can do it again as well. New area, new story, emphasize it a bit more. You'll have a banger, dude. Some dungeons that are actual dungeons, that'd be great. Don't just make them look different. You're not fooling anybody. Those dungeons were sometimes shorter than Breath of the Wild. You're not fooling anyone, Nintendo.
Yeah.
You're not fooling anyone. What was next? Something else to bitch about?
I mean, after that, the month was pretty quiet. Well, but
Yeah,
I do
everyone
wanna
gave
bring
Zelda
up-
room to breathe. Right, yeah.
Well, I do want to bring up Lord of the Rings Gollum real quick.
Oh,
Did that come out after? That came out in May?
The May 25th.
Felt
Yeah.
like some kind of crazy summer sideshow.
No,
The
that was
game
May.
that killed Daedalic.
Yeah.
The game that killed the industry for a while, dude. Remember when we thought that'd be the worst game to come out this year, and it might not be? That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, theoretically, there's no way to know if it's worse than King Kong or not, because I'm not going to play either of them.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask an expert. Well, maybe
Yeah.
that's. We'll have to ask an expert. But yeah, that was funny. I was there for it.
Mm.
Anyway,
But I think that does it for May.
yeah,
I
all
didn't
talk on
play anything
Zelda.
else
I'm
in
shocked.
May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
How long
what
was
came out
that
in
segment?
June?
Felt like an eternity.
Mm.
June got off to a pretty good start. Opened up with Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. Street
Banger.
Fighter 6.
I thought that was at the end of the month.
No,
But
no.
It was the start of the month.
In my head, it's still kind of assimilated into May too, because I wasn't done with Zelda when Street Fighter came out. I had to pause. I had to pause my Zelda playing for like a day to play Street Fighter.
I do want to say, looking back at it, that it's like if we could do anything again, I would look at the time between the Zelda release date and review and go, you know what, Ethan, you finished it first. You probably should have reviewed it because you were enjoying that game so much onto that. I was like, damn, that review came out so late, and I'm like, it's still a great review, but I'm like, Ethan, you probably could have. You were just lazy, which is my own fault, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Street Fighter, that was a game, pretty good one too.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6 made my year-end top 6.
Yeah. It made
really
mine
good game.
too.
Oh, damn. He
Didn't
didn't
play
even
it.
play it.
Yeah, I just have that. I have
That's how
faith in
good
that
it
one.
is.
Yeah.
No, Street Fighter 6 really solid. I've never played a Street Fighter game before because I think I said this in the episode. I always thought Street Fighter looked kind of boring.
Yeah.
Just as like an observer, but actually getting your hands
Not
on
enough
it.
flashy particle effects.
Yeah. But like actually getting my hands on it and getting to play it and understand how it works, it's just a ton of fun.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, like it's always been really satisfying for me to, picking up and just smacking people around, and 4 back in the day was entertaining enough, and I skipped 5 because it looked visually
Gross.
assaulting. And then having this again was a lot of fun. It was the perfect thing to play after Zelda 2 because its story mode was silly and pointless, but like pile driving pedestrians was a
Goofy.
experience that brings me immense amounts of joy.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Good character creator too.
Yeah, I never touched any of the single player stuff. All my time was really spent online, and I gotta say that is some of the greatest fighting game online I've ever played. Like, if you queue up in training mode, you are in and out of matches like that, dude. It's so good. And I've maybe had 3 matches where I think the connection was unplayable
Oh,
out of the out of the hundreds of games I've played.
Yeah,
nice.
Ugh.
good year
Now
for
Street
fighting
Fighter's really
games.
solid. Fighting game of the year, beat out Mortal Kombat.
As it
It
always
might
will.
still be on sale when this video goes out. I don't know.
Don't make promises
Probably.
like that. We're recording these far
Yeah.
enough in advance. I wouldn't make that
Yeah.
promise.
That, that's why I'm saying might. Uh, but yeah, I definitely do have a whole new appreciation for Street Fighter now. Um, but I'll say this though, Capcom, your monetization sucks. Fix it.
Here, here, yeah, awful.
Game
Yeah.
already has a $60 entry fee. Don't make us pay $100 for your costumes. I don't know if
Very true.
that's been fixed by the time this goes out or
Probably
not.
not.
Probably
If it's
not.
anything
Probably
like
not.
Kyle, if it's
They
anything
never
like
do that.
Overwatch, it definitely won't be fixed. They'll just
It
keep doing
definitely
it
won't
until
be.
people accept that that's the new way.
Yep. Everyone made their stink about it on Twitter, and now I don't hear about it anymore.
Dude, that's literally Overwatch's thing was like $20 for a skin, and everyone was like, "Fuck off, that's outrageous."
$20?
And then they were like, "No, we mean
In a
$20 for a
first-person
skin."
shooter?
Yeah.
Where you can't look at your
Oh
person?
my god.
And then they did this. This is what they did. They were smart, and then they went, "Okay, we'll release 3 skins in a pack for $40." And then everyone's like,
Ah,
"Oh, what a deal!" You know, you're basically
brilliant.
you're getting 1 skin for free, and it's like, this is stupid. There you go. We've lost them, boys. We've lost them.
Collectively, on a package that should be $10
Yeah, I agree.
at most.
It's amazing how the human brain works.
Dude, I mean, I'm stupid as well. I bought the K-pop skins, but that's because I did have
That's
the
like
Overwatch. I had the Overwatch coins already for most of it. I think I ended up spending $10 or something for a pack of
Hmm.
5 skins. But that's, to be honest, that's because Blizzard were out to get me on that one, dude. They literally picked like, I think there was 5 skins for 5 characters, and they literally were Tracer, my main, Kiriko, my support main, Sombra, my second main for DPS, and Diva, who was my tank main if I ever play tank, and Brigitte, who I don't play, but I like Brigitte. So I was like, well, fuck, well, you've lost. Like, that's a personal offense right there. But yeah, skin culture is stupid, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially in a first person shooter. I still don't get how Call of Duty makes so much money off of its collaborations.
Call of Duty fans are stupid.
Because at least in Overwatch,
And
each
really
character has their
sensitive, as
own.
we've learned.
Yeah, at least in Overwatch, the characters have their own guns, right? So they have special gun models for each one. So at least you can make the argument, I'm seeing a gun at least. Call of Duty, you've got generic guns. So what? I've got custom wrists. I can see custom wrists. Wow, that's crazy. No, nothing. Stupid. Fuck you, Call of Duty.
Hmm. We
Let's
play
take a
real
joke.
games like we play real games like Crash Team Rumble.
Yeah.
6 months removed from this game. How you feeling, Ethan?
I would if I was to review the game now, I'd move it to a 3 instead of a 4. And that's because I think that the game launched in a pretty good state, and I was like, with constant updates, this game will be great. And in 6 months, they've released like 4 characters in 6 months, something like that. And the thing is if anybody is privy to the crash leaks beforehand, from the beta, they have the loading screen has the icons of all the characters, and we had already sussed out that they're like, oh, in the background there are icons for Spyro, Ripto, Allura, Ripperoo, and Engine. So we're like, oh, they're probably all coming out really close. And as of recording this video, Allura still isn't out, so they've only not even all the ones from the beta leak are out yet. So it's like, they just drip feeding everything, and it's like, I don't want to go, because you release a character for this game, everyone's just playing that character for like a solid week, so you're not even getting real matches because everyone wants to play Spyro because Spyro's out, and it's like, well, there you go then. That's brilliant. Great for the meta, dude. That's wonderful. I think the game's fine. I don't see a reason to keep playing it, to be honest. And I think the monetization strategy isn't great because none of the battle passes have been any good. If I was a betting man, don't want to make this bet. I feel like what season we're on, season 3. I think it'll get to season 6. I think they'll do a year. I think that they'll do a year and then they'll stop because I don't see people carrying on playing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's been
I think that sounds
Male
fair.
Entropy still hasn't come out. He was also in the beta leak. And then there was from the recent leak, it seems like the
Forgot
next
that
3
female entropy is who the
they
character
picked,
is.
yeah. From the current leak of this season, it seems like the next 3 characters are Pinstripe, Tiny, and Nina. Which, if you add Male Entropy to it, that's probably
6
2
months
characters.
later, and Tiny still isn't in the game.
No.
Feels bad.
The 2 characters were season 1, which was Engine and Ripperoo. There was 1 character in the entirety of season 2, which was just Ripto, and now it's Spyro and Laura in season 3. So genuinely, those 4 characters could be the last 4 characters. They genuinely could be. I expect it to get to season 6, probably give it a year. But yeah, I would change it to a 3 out of 5. I think the game, I'd be very hesitant on it right now. There's some good ideas in it, and it's fun, but it's like it's an online game where you'll get like, I've put like 50 hours into it, I think, overall. You'll get like 30 hours out of it if you like it, and then you'll probably stop, and all of that'll be in within like a couple of weeks. You won't. There's no reason to keep coming back. There really isn't.
Yeah.
It's just a grind of fun. In all the worst ways. CTR was fun to play, and you could grind it out, and you could piss about with your friends, one per weekends, baby. You know, stupid shit like that. It was fun to play in that. One Big Drop works a lot better, I think, than this. Oh, there's a new game mode this week, and there's a new power-up the next week, and there's a character the week after that. It just doesn't work, especially when you have such a small player base. Season 2's big gimmick was a new game mode every month, and I never got to play a single one because everyone I queued up, no one was fucking queuing. So I'm like, well, this is pointless, isn't it? Like, what's the point of this?
Oh, man.
I'm never going to be able to play 5 versus 5 rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. Didn't play a single one of them. I'm like, this is great. Also, I can just keep bitching about this game all day. Don't know what they did in season 2, but then I don't know if it's just everybody in Europe hopped off, went peace out, homie, and just pissed off the face of the earth. But when season 2 started, the connection between players got so much worse. I don't know what they did, but like it feels so laggy. And at first I'm like, is it my internet? No, I hop onto Overwatch, I hop onto anything else, perfectly fine. It's just that game. It's bizarre, dude. It's a weird one. I hope Toys for Bob gets to make something else. Like I say, Spyro 4, please just make Spyro 4, please make it, please. 2024 is the year of the dragon. I mean, you have a chance to do something cool
You gotta.
here. The remake of Spyro 3's Platinum Trophy was called Party Like It's 2024 because that was the next year of the dragon. I was like, so many perfect things would line up. Why? Come on, just do it. Fuck off, Crash Team Rumble. Do it. No one cares. They won't miss it.
They'll never know it's gone.
They won't notice. They genuinely won't.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that when they announce that the servers are going down and they're no longer updating it, people will go, this game came out? That'll be the first thing that comes out. I promise you that.
Like the amount of comments on our review for this were just like, I didn't even know this game was happening.
Yeah. And neither did reviewers, to be honest. That's why our review did so well. So thank you, Crash Team Rumble. You at least did one thing for us. I appreciate you.
You propelled our sub count.
I appreciate you. Yeah.
Now die.
Now die. Trade offer.
We receive bigger number, you receive death.
Crash 5 or Spyro 4, or just CTR. I don't know why they make another CTR. CTR would print money, genuinely.
It really would.
Crash Tag Team Racing Nitro Fueled.
Oh,
hear me out.
I don't understand why they haven't made a CTR, because that's just like, that thing would print money, like genuinely would.
It really would.
More so than a new Crash or Spyro entry. A Crash Team Racing, like, genuinely would do so well, especially because other than Mario Kart, there
idiots
really
love
isn't
kart racers.
There's not another competitor. There really isn't. Make another Crash Team Racing. Like, god damn it. What you Beanox? You did such a good job. Make another one. God damn it. Anyway. There's also another game that Final Fantasy also came out this month, right? June?
Yeah, June.
Day before my
birthday. Same day?
No. June 22nd. 2 days removed.
Thank you. How kind of them. Hunter, how are you feeling on 16? You
Oh,
can
I
go
still
first.
liked it. I liked it. I liked it the most out of the three of us here.
That's a shocker, isn't it?
Yeah.
Positive Hunter, always positive about video games. Fuck you, Hunter. Get a
Like, I
spine.
think
Learn
wasn't
to
that
hate,
last
damn
part?
it.
Or just get a spine. Learn to hate, dude. Like, come on,
Oh,
get a
oh,
backbone,
okay,
bro.
fine. Final Fantasy 15 smells. I hate that
Oh,
one.
come on.
Noctis and
I'll
his
fuck
friends
that
are
one out.
losers.
Yeah, fuck
But
you.
everyone hates that one.
No, there are weirdos who like it,
Yeah,
especially now that it's older and there's a new one.
Yeah, now that 16 is out, we have a new
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
to beat up.
Yeah, anyway,
right.
I like Final Fantasy 16. I think the combat was fun. Clive, I think, is the best main character they've had in one of these games. Um, the other characters, for as little as they got to do, I still liked most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's all he has to say. I mean,
Hmm.
I'll
Do
go
you want to
Soundtrack
go
next because I feel
first,
shreds.
like
or should I?
I'll go next because I think if we're going on an order of hierarchy here, I think I'm the middleman in this situation. I will still happily say it. The first half of Final Fantasy 16 is my favorite game that came out this year. I will happily that can go on the box for all I care if they do a Game of the Year edition. The first half of Final Fantasy 16 I think is genuinely brilliant. Up until the Mother Crystal section with Sid and Clyde. Up until that point, absolutely fucking incredible game. Loved every moment of it. Second half, so fucking bad. It's so bad. From a plot pacing standpoint, I remember getting to there and I was saying to Hunter, I'm like, I don't think this game's as long as people are saying it is because I feel like I'm already at the second. I'm near the second jump point, and I feel like I'm barely 14 hours in. I'm like, wow, this game isn't going to be 40 hours. And Hunter said nothing to me, so I knew that something was going to happen. And then I found out that yes, it turns out that
To be
I,
fair, there were instances while you were talking to me about that game while I was definitely unconscious.
yeah, true. But you know,
I'd wake up and answer you later.
it then just turned out that the second time skip, where it's mainly just Clive and Jill pissing about simulator, um, it's so boring. The second half of that game is like it took this story about mother crystals and this kind of Game of Thrones kind of political fantasy thriller kind of drama that was going on, and then just threw it out the window and went, we're a JRPG, what do? We fight fucking god, bitch. And then that was it. That was like it lost all sense of stakes whatsoever. And it's like by the time I got to the end of the game, it's like we're asking like who lives, who dies, what's the like, ooh, we've left it open ended, and I'm like, I don't give a toss. At this point I just wanted closure. Because you'd put me on that goose chase for so long, and then it goes, cherry on top, no closure for you, Buckaroo. I'm like, well, fuck off then. Like genuinely fuck off.
And don't worry, our
um
DLC will not answer the question for you.
but it'll
No, the
give you
DLC just
Leviathan.
opens more complications that don't make sense.
Yep.
Like I say, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic game that I just think is filled with bloat, and I also think that I would also like the second half more if they didn't do, which I think is the biggest sin of all, where they went, let's take our really pretty game and for the final 15 to 20 hours, let's make it ugly. Sky, turn it shite. Colors, make it grey. Make everything depressing. There you go, Bob's your uncle. All the fun music, make it fucking miserable. Turn it off. Make it fucking dry. I'm like, I hate it here. I genuinely hate it here. It's so bad. And in New Game Plus, they don't give you the option to turn that shit off either. Like,
Do
missed
you think they were
opportunity.
going to let you turn off the altered climate?
Turn off the gray.
I feel like it would be nice because you know people complained in Marvel Spider-Man 1 that at the end of the game you were stuck with the default settings or whatever. So Insomniac patched in the ability for you to change it. I feel like that would be a nice thing to do. Would be like, hey, New Game Plus, if you don't want all the fun music to go away and the game to turn monotone, here's a target where it just keeps the same atmosphere as the rest of the game. That'd be fantastic.
Mm.
I don't care if it doesn't make sense. I just want to feel happy. Is that too much to ask? But Kyle, how you can round this out? Thoughts?
So when we initially did our first impressions on Final Fantasy 16, I feel like I was being very wishy-washy on my actual opinions on the game. because it was
Mhm.
big, new, popular game, and I wasn't really that far in. So, what I said could obviously change.
Well, that's a first
Uh,
impression for you. Welcome to the first
yeah.
impressions, Kyle. I expect things, like I say, I expect things to change for first impressions. If you want to be passionate and then come back the next week, after it's with Jedi. I did it literally a month ago where I was fucking, and then I came back the next week and I was like, guys,
hmm
played a bit more. Turns out it's not as bad as I was making it out to be because that's what happens, right? But
Yeah.
I think those pure initial emotions are kind of important because I feel like it can gauge the rest of the game. It can make it shows to me. It's like the reason I know that the second half of Final Fantasy 16 is so bad because I can remember the passion that I had for the first half of it, and then it just fucking dives off a cliff. I think it's
hmm
important to get every kind of moment of it.
I would also like to say thank you to Hunter for picking up the review for me. I was supposed to review this game, but I feel like I would not have given it a proper review.
Yeah, no
Same.
problem. That's what I do.
Yeah. I was the, to be fair, I
So,
also want to thank
thanks,
Hunter
Bestie.
because I think I was the backup, but then I took way too long to finish it, and then Hunter picked up the people. Like Hunter genuinely was
I'm pretty
like,
sure I beat the game first.
You
yeah,
So
you
did.
did. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Is Cal wasn't feeling too great on it, and I was like, I'm like, I'm taking way too long, and Hunter was just like, I've got it.
you
Don't worry.
played you played a Raincoat more
I
when
did
that
play
came out.
Raincoat more,
Yeah.
and I
hmm
also didn't pick, and you picked up the pieces of that review as well. So like, we'll get to
So,
Raincoat. I can talk more passionately about Raincoat now.
Oh yeah.
My thoughts are
so
solidified on that bad boy.
mm, with all of those disclaimers out of the way, I think Final Fantasy 16 is just a very, very boring video game to play. I think
Mm.
it's a very bland hack and slash game. It's barely qualifies as an action RPG. There's so much just filler shit that I wish didn't exist. I feel like the story doesn't do a lot. It introduces a lot of characters and cool ideas, but any villains they introduce don't do anything or they die immediately. Like Benedicta, for example, I think she had the potential to be one of the coolest villains,
I still
but then
stand
she
by.
get
I think
but then she
Benedicta
gets
still
axed
is
off
the
way
coolest.
too early.
Even when she is axed off way too early, I still think she's my favorite of the villains in the game. I still think they peaked with her, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like she had like the most immediate stakes given that she had a past with Sid, but then oopsie schwoopsie, that doesn't go anywhere.
Neither does the Sid stuff, even though he's great.
Neither
The
does the
whole
Sid stuff.
the whole mid stuff as well would have been so interesting as well. Like I feel like they went, "Oh, she's adopted," and I'm like, it would have just added just a little bit of more backstory
If
and
it
been a
was
bit
her,
cooler if it was their kid that
yeah.
Yeah.
was just never mentioned, and it was just like because she looks the spit of both of them. I feel like they just went
Yeah.
back on it. I think they were like, "Oh, I
It's
don't
like
think the
how in The
timeline kind of
Witcher,
works."
what's her face is adopted, even though they gave them
Siri.
both white hair. Yeah.
Mm.
It's like, why would you give them? Why? Hair color
I
is
also want to
clearly one of
say
the
that I said
indicators of
I just
relation.
said the forbidden word, and my phone just lit up like a fucking Christmas tree because I said the wrong word. Um, but yeah, well,
I think like Barnabas is just a fine villain.
He
good
should have been the
performance,
main
but
bad guy.
uh,
She should have been. He should have been where the game ended and fuck that Ultima section off.
yeah, 100%.
Uh,
um,
Making his whole country a death cult would have been the better move.
yeah,
I
it
think,
would have
like
been
I
more
say,
interesting than just doing the ending of Xenoblade 3.
the problem is there's so many characters and
Or
there's
the
so
end
many
of
strong
Persona.
characters as well. But I think here's the thing: if a character's mediocre, you don't really care if nothing happens with them. You're just like, oh, okay, whatever. You weren't
Yeah,
invested. I think the problem with Final Fantasy 16 is they did such a good job of defining these characters and making them good characters with potential, and then doing absolutely nothing with them is the issue, really.
yeah.
Where it's like,
That's definitely where my biggest issue with the game is that to me there's so much cool stuff they could have done but just left it all on the table. And now knowing what we know about what was announced at the Game Awards, where your two DLCs apparently take place before the fucking final boss,
in the final third of the game, the worst place, the most padded part of the game, they were like, stick some
make
DLC in there,
that
bad
make
boy.
sense. Where
I
apparently
just want to say,
Sid, Clive, and Josh just fucked off to go fight Leviathan, I
And
guess.
didn't mention it at all.
And we just have to roll with it.
not even Sid.
Joshua,
It's
what's that
just
giant
Jill.
snake?
As far as I'm aware,
Yeah,
it's
I
Gav.
know it's not Sid. I
It's just
misspoke.
Gav, Josh, and Sid. As far as I'm aware, that's what it will be. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that pisses me off as well. Imagine, I feel sorry for the. I know we're talking. Like I say, I'm pretty positive on the game as a whole. I still think it's fine. I think it's more like it's one of those things where if you're looking forward to a game, it's one of your most anticipated games of the year, and it disappoints you. It leaves more of a sour taste in your mouth than a mediocre game does that you were just
Yeah,
expecting to be mediocre, right?
and
Um,
yeah, that's how I feel on it.
but I feel like my main issue is, it's like I say, imagine picking up in a year's time when the DLC is all done. There'll 100% be a Game of the Year edition of this game where it comes with all the DLC on the disc. Imagine being the sorry fucker that buys that, and then we're sitting here going, my main problem with this game is the final third is bloated to fuck and needs to be halved. And then they will hold my beer. Here's an extra 14 hours of it. I'd be banging my head in. I'd be like, fuck, fuck, fuck.
The funny thing will be is if somehow the Leviathan thing is like this really good section of plot.
Yeah, and it'd be
Whereas
like, why is
like,
that optional? Why is that optional and the rest of
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
fucking compulsory?
And see,
It,
here's my takeaway though. I don't really care how good the Leviathan section ends up
Oh
being.
yeah, same. Like it could
I'm
be.
already lost on this game. I'm never going back.
It's like how people claimed that, all the extra stuff about Final Fantasy 15 makes it worthwhile. And I'm like, too little, too late.
All Final Fantasy's 15 was a mess anyways of
Yeah.
a bunch of multimedia projects.
I feel the problem is, like, the whole thing in general is I feel like people like CD Projekt really understand the task when it comes to making expansions, to making DLC, where they're like, I feel like rule number one is if you are making DLC, you're making it for those invested, aka post game. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna make it where, and here we go back to Horizon, right? CD Projekt also does the smart thing where they're like, we know that you won't have a save at the end of the game. We also know that you're probably coming back from it new. So we'll even have an option on the main menu where you can create a new game that'll be at the exact level requirements for the new game, the DLC,
Yeah.
and just hop
Mhm.
into that. And I'm like, that's brilliant. That's a great way to do it. Because if I played the game,
Dragon Age
started a
does
new
that
game,
too.
got it halfway through, and then didn't carry on, the game's not going to slap me on the wrist and go play for 20 hours more, you fucker. They're going to go, no, it starts
Idiot.
off the save.
Mhm.
Yeah, go for it.
Thought you were gonna get the new content. You haven't done the community service yet.
But it still
Yeah.
matters because it's an epilogue. It takes place afterwards. Blood and Wine takes place after the main story of The Witcher 3. Same for the Cyberpunk expansion, Phantom Liberty, takes place after the base game. It means the people that are invested get more of it, get a conclusion to it. To get them more. Whereas this is just like right in the middle.
Yeah.
You probably have to have a save for it to get there. And it's like, I don't care. You've lost me
Yeah.
at this point.
And like I like Yoshi P and his team's work. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 all year,
You've got like
getting caught
400
up
hours in it. Yeah, you're
yeah,
like
from I'm still not even done with Shadowbringers yet. Like I love his work, but this MMO, the single player MMO game design doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me.
I think there's a lot to
Stopping your
like in
story to
16.
do mandatory quests is fucking stupid.
There's a lot to like in 16, but again, I think it's one of those things where it's scope, and it's like, I feel like a more refined game here would have been a lot better. I feel like
Mhm.
people always talk about the side quests in 16 and go, they're fantastic. And I'm like, you're right. There's a good 25% of them that are fantastic. There's another
The problem is,
75%
it's
that are just
the
fetch quests. And the game doesn't have a distinction to tell you which is good and which isn't. So
Yeah.
you just end up picking up a load
there's
of
a
shite.
and it's not even like one chain is consistently the best one. It's always each one has their own good moments
Like the
that
blacksmith
are
has
usually
5
towards
parts to it, and they're all
that are
hit and
usually
miss.
towards the end. Uh
Or there are
so you had to
some
be doing the rest of them.
there's something that people like, don't miss the side quests at the end, and it's like, well, I can't distinguish them from the other ones. And also some of them, like the Torgal one, has a requirement that you did the Charon quest for Torgal earlier on as well, and it's like stuff like that. I'm like, fucking, it's what, don't make me do
Mhm.
homework. It's like when people are like it's like an any JRPG when it's like, you must, like, I hate the one thing I really love about Persona 5 Royal is that I didn't know what the requirements were to get the extra story. And when you look it up, it's one thing, and they were like, you're probably going to do that one thing regardless. Whereas, like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, and you get it. When a game's like, here's 16 obscure things just to get a random side quest that you're not going to be able to. I was 100%ing it anyway, so I was going to do it. But
You
the
have to
fact
run
that I
around
can
that
think,
post in the courtyard.
yeah, the fact that I know
clockwise 4 times.
the fact that I know that there's people, because I've seen the complaints online, that don't like the fact that Torgal and Jill kind of just get thrown out and there's no real conclusion to their story. There kind of is. It's in a side quest. unlocks at the end of the game. That's optional.
I mean, I
Especially
still have
toggle.
tremendous amount of beef that they didn't go to the final battle, but,
Yeah,
you know,
and also hiding your main character's character behind a side quest is kind of silly.
It's dumb. It's really stupid.
it'd be different if, like, it was one where there's several if this was a game where there's several party members or whatever, but Jill is, like, always with you.
It's just Jill and
Yeah.
Torgal.
Yeah,
It's literally
Jill and
Jill and
Torgal,
Torgal.
and sometimes Joshua.
Yeah. And technically you've got Gav on the sidelines, and that's it. That's literally it. There's no one else. It's just like, yeah. I like the game quite a bit. Like I say, first half of that game, fucking love it. Chef's kiss, brilliant. Love it to death. But my gosh, second half, I've never had a 180 on a game like I did Final Fantasy 16, which is like that first half still puts it pretty high in my top 10 of this year. It's like it'd probably still be like a 5 or a 4 probably on my top 10. But it genuinely would be my number 2 or my number 1 if that second half was at the same level. Like it's just man, I've never seen a 180 quite like it.
Hmm. Anyways.
Anyway, let's move on because it's an hour, we're an
Yeah.
hour and 50 in, and we've barely scraped half of the year. So, Merry
You guys talk
Christmas!
about Raincoat. I'll be right back.
Oh, cool. Is that July? Was Raincoat July? Or was that June? It was still June, wasn't it?
I think it was the end of June, like June 30th.
Yeah. How are you feeling after so long on Raincoat Hunter?
You know, it was okay. It had like the parts where it got good were really good, and it's still like there were the parts that I feel like the potential for it to be good, like excellent, was there, and they missed quite a few times.
Yeah.
But like I feel like the penultimate chapter was really great. I feel like the final chapter not as good, but I feel like it was better than a lot of the rest of the game still.
I like chapter 2 a lot as well. Which isn't
Because
chapter
of the
1, chapter
stupid
2.
the
chapter
stupid way
with,
that they structured their
Kurumi.
thing.
Yeah.
Chapter
The
2, is
Kurumi
that the one with
chapter,
the school?
the Kurumi Wendy
Yeah.
chapter. I think
I think
pretty
that
strong.
one was good. I feel like that one that one irked me because I feel like it could have been better if they had just
committed to
there
it.
were if there was better ways, there was a way to make it so that like the presentation matched what they were trying to convey, and they didn't because of all of the stupid mystery dungeons or mystery labyrinth stuff.
I have
in
written
the way
this
that
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I've written this part of my list, and it's because I was like, I don't know if I'm doing a top 10 or a top 6 yet. So I was like, I'll write some stuff about 10 games, and then if I don't have enough to say, then I'll scrap some games, is how I've gone. So let me know in the comments. Did I write about 10 games or 6 in my blog post? I still don't know.
Oh boy.
But Raincoat was at number 10, and it was between that and Crash Team Rumble was where I was sitting. And I literally, my argument is whereas my thoughts on Crash Team Rumble have diminished over time, my thoughts on Raincoat have improved over time. And I don't want to get it up because I don't want to read it word for word because I feel like that's pointless. You can go to the website if you want to go and check out my actual opinions looking at it 6 months later. But my general vibes for Raincoat are I still think the gameplay is absolutely fucking horrid. I think mystery dungeons are terrible, and I genuinely disliked every single moment of the mystery dungeons, the mystery labyrinths in general. They're bad. They're not good game design.
The annoying thing is, like, conceptually it could have been conceptually it's not bad. I feel like they could have made it like the idea of going through that could have really worked
if they had put effort into it. I agree.
Yeah,
but they didn't. I think the investigation stuff is fine. I think the characters are fine. I think its weird ethics that it has, like its weird moral kind of code that it stands by, is all over the place and makes absolutely no sense and is still stupid.
I feel like that really kind of comes with the territory of a game like this, though. Like they try to make you feel weird, and games will try and make you feel weird and amoral for the most bizarre stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And some of them are like, yeah, this guy killed somebody. We've got to kill him back. And then the other ones are like, yeah, no, like these. I feel like a punishment of death's a bit too harsh for what happened here because it's like, oh, like this was, one of the like there could be like a potential accident or it's like multiple things happened that sort of like, a load of stuff. So I still think that's. But when I look back at it, all I see is the good chapters, the kind of good mysteries. Even though I kind of, like I kind of got, I already figured it out very early on. I still
Yeah,
enjoyed
this
them.
was the easiest mystery game to figure out that I've played as far as these kind of
The
games go.
the characters, like I still really like a lot of the characters.
Yeah,
I
like
think the
Karumi was great.
whatever in it, the Shimigami, I just fucking hate her. She's
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
she
awful.
sucked.
But like Kurumi, I really like. All of the Master
Vivia
Detectives,
was
I
great.
liked quite a lot. Yeah, Vivia is probably a standout. Yeah, even Yasuhiko, I didn't despise. Right.
Yeah, he's better than
Um,
most of the characters in his
the
archetype
Danganronpa,
are.
yeah.
Yeah, like I would have hated him in any other game.
Yeah, Yakao the boss, I really like him.
Yeah,
He's pretty great. I even don't mind the main character. I don't like his design, but I think as you know from last week,
visually
but
he sucks, but
as a
he's one of the
character I like him
better.
quite a
He's
bit.
one of the. He's better than the first two Danganronpa protagonists.
So when I come back, when I look at it over, like when I look at it with my lens signals later, I kind of block the pain and torment that is the misery of the some of that game, and I've come off it more positive. But I still think that game has so many issues, and there are half a dozen visual novel mystery games that you should play before playing it. But I also don't think
Yeah,
that it is bad enough to say that if you've played all of them, that you shouldn't give it a try and see if you like it for yourself.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and I also think there's a lot of issues that would be fixed with a sequel or a spirit, like carrying on with that. I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff that they could fix in a sequel. Um, it's all right. It's all right in the end. Welcome back, Kyle. Shall we move into
Thank you.
July?
Yeah, good news. Nothing happened in July.
Cool. Let's put it.
Pikmin 4 happened.
Let's talk about Pikmin 4. I haven't played it, but
Haven't played
probably
it.
I haven't played it, but let's just
Congrats on
review
being
it,
the
dude.
best sim strategy game.
Pikmin 4 was more Pikmin, and for some people that was enough,
That's
and
all
for
they need.
others, it was more Pikmin, so we didn't bother picking it up, and that's
yeah,
cool. It's a vibe. With how busy May and June were, though, I can understand why July was a bit of a bleak month, to be honest, because I think
Yeah.
people needed time
yeah,
to
yeah. I was
recoup.
still just busy finishing. I was busy with Raincoat for most of July because I was exhausted from Final Fantasy and then whatnot. Viewfinder came out sometime in July, and I eventually played that, and it was
How
really
you
good.
feeling about it?
Play it if you like puzzle games. Like it does very cool things with just the space of objects and whatnot and perspective, and it manages to keep iterating on those mechanics so that you're not doing the same thing for too long, and it manages to be done before it overstays its welcome.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty quiet. Month. Shall we move on to August then? Sorry, July fans. Sorry if you really wanted some engaging Pikmin conversations there, but we didn't play it.
Oh, and Hello Kitty's Adventure Island came out.
Oh
Still think that's really
baby.
funny that South Park
Got
predicted that
robbed.
name like 15 years ago. I still think that's hilarious. Anyway, what happened in August? Anything in August? There was a little game. I know there's one game that came out in August.
There was. I'm seeing on the list Baldur's Gate 3 got its official Windows release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about it for like a month before it was even something that I
Let's
was
talk
going to
about it
be
now
able to
because
play.
September was pretty packed anyway, so we
Yeah.
might as well talk
Yeah.
about it in August. Obviously, you two, I'll leave this to you because I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. At this rate, I probably will never play Baldur's Gate 3, but never say never. I might
Yeah.
might get 100 hours in 2024. You'll see.
When you run out of CD Projekt games, it'll be your holiday break game.
No. I think my holiday game next. I don't know what my holiday game will be next year because I don't have too many large games in my back. Actually, I probably do. If I haven't got to Souls properly yet, it'll probably be a Souls game. But I feel like I want to tackle Souls games next year. I want to do at least Dark Souls 1 maybe next year.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, what are you guys feeling? Hunter, I know you're still in the weeds with Baldur's Gate 3, but Kyle,
Sure am.
you are. In fact, Hunter will go with first because your recent impressions, and then we'll get Kyle, who's had time to simmer.
Oh, I've been having a lot of fun with this. It is the best. It's from the. It's like the best modernized version of a game like this that you could have, really. Like, you know, uh, there's a whole lot you can do with the way you choose to build your character and all of that. Character interactions and dialogue options. half
Mm.
of it doesn't a lot of it really won't matter, but it's just a matter of how you color in the picture that makes it a lot of fun, and really I haven't felt that way about one of these since, uh, with the exception of, like, Arcadia Fallen, which was very small last year. I haven't felt that way about a giant RPG like this since Dragon Age Inquisition years ago, but it still has some of the same misgivings as all of those kinda games too, like a weighted inventory system. Not as obnoxious as Skyrim's, but it's still annoying. I feel like it's silly that it's tied character by character too,
Mm.
but, overall, I've still been having a lot of fun each day with this game.
Yeah. Um, I've really enjoyed my time with this, with Baldur's Gate. Um, I forget where I put it in my year-end list, but one thing I remember saying is that it definitely felt like the role playing was coming back to role playing games where it feels like you're not just following a linear story, but it feels more like yes, everything you're doing is kind of predetermined as to what's going to happen, but it feels like you're the one in charge of what's going to happen next. And I think that's just super cool. It's nice to see that happen again, see that come back. And it's also just like it's just such a fun, silly little video game that where you can just basically do whatever the hell you feel like doing.
Yeah,
And
like, experimenting is hilarious to do. I pulled off a prison heist the other day where I was freeing someone from a cell, right? And there was a guard patrolling. Essentially, I just occupied everybody else who was patrolling in conversation with my extra party members.
oh my god.
So they were like locked in place and not focused on me. And I had my main character, Mr. Rogue Man, going off and killing the lights on the torches and doing his sneaky stuff with the person I was helping break out.
Oh my god.
And it was fantastic.
Dude, that's awesome. That's see like that's something I've never even would have thought about doing. I don't
Yeah.
like I wasn't thinking of my extra party members as other characters.
Yeah, yeah, because I had to do this again later because in the one magic shop in the city late in the
Mm.
late game, I picked the wrong portal to go talk to the guy who's in charge,
Oh
and
yeah.
somehow that triggered, "You've been being violent, so you're banned from the store." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I didn't even do why did that portal kick me out and kill me?" So my character couldn't pass the threshold, but the rest of them could.
oh,
So I again used the distract the NPCs while my character walks through and goes about his business.
oh, dude, that's incredible. But no, Baldur's Gate 3 definitely feels like the kind of game you could just do whatever you feel like. Do whatever your brain can think, you can do it.
Yeah. And
That's
like
cool.
character wise, I like the party members quite
Oh
a bit,
yeah.
or at least most of them. Even like I feel like a lot of them start off real rough for sometimes seemingly no reason, but
Yeah, they kind of do.
uh
They grow on you after a while though.
but yeah, like when you get to the, important story beats and stuff, like I like Shadowheart more than I thought I was going to at the beginning now.
Mm.
No, fair enough. I have nothing to add at all. I'll just let you guys talk because, like I say,
Yeah,
I'm
no
pretty
worries,
useless
dude.
when it comes to that game. But hey ho,
Yeah.
I'm glad you
And
guys enjoyed it.
I mean, this game is still getting constant updates from the developers to
Of
the
course it
point
will.
where it feels like Hunter and I are playing two entirely different games at this point. Man's got
Yeah.
an entire party member that didn't exist when I played the game.
Well, she did. You just had to be horrible.
No, I didn't want to be
There you
horrible.
go.
Yeah, neither did I, and that was the problem. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's really good. This game, another thing, aside from the party members, it's really good at getting you to care about like the
The world.
NPCs that,
Yeah.
like, I didn't think I was gonna see the refugees that I was helping in Act One again, and they showed up in Act Two, and I'm like, what do you mean what do you mean you're in trouble again?
Yeah.
And then I went and helped them again because I'm like, I'm not letting this end badly. I refuse.
Hmm. But no, it's just cool to see how like your actions will have a ripple effect going later into the game. Because like there's a side quest you can finish in chapter 1, and then she comes back later in chapter 3, and I just think it's cool shit like that that I really enjoy.
I just got something like that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Was it the hag?
it was.
Yeah.
I'm currently concocting the potion to kill her for real.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Oh.
Fair enough. What's next, anyway?
That's a good question. I thought you would be looking while I was talking.
Nope. I was sorting out stuff for the website. As always, I was
Uh,
just doing other things.
No, very cool.
Yep.
let's see.
Red Dead Redemption on
Stray
the
Gods, the
Switch.
role-playing musical, is an interesting concept that I
Oh
didn't
wait, that
play.
sounds cool.
Did you play it?
No, it's just a cool concept that is it on, like, consoles now?
You're
Oh, it
asking the
is on
wrong crowd.
consoles.
We have no clue.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
I haven't played it yet, but it's on stuff that I'll play it on, so maybe someday I will.
End of the month, Armored Core 6 was a video game.
It was.
Did
You
either of
played
you
it.
did either of you two get around to it?
No.
Not yet.
Oh my
It's,
god, Hunter.
one of those, like I feel like I'm gonna be done with Baldur's Gate before my break from work.
Yeah.
So then I'll just have, like, a week and a half to do whatever I want. That
Mm.
will probably include Armored Core and, like, Mario RPG and stuff, depending on what is given to me for Christmas.
Yeah. No, I get that. Armored Core was fun. It was a good little time I had. I haven't gone back to it since beating it, but I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. It was just a fun like week I had playing the game.
Yeah, it certainly
I
looked like a
enjoyed I
entertaining
enjoyed
time.
I enjoyed big robot game. I enjoyed building robots. I enjoyed building my giant tank robot that blew up everything and wasted all my money.
Oh yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Ugh.
And I guess before we do, I did want to, because we mentioned Red Dead earlier, so I'll mention it again. Red Dead got a re-release, which is still baffling, because they did nothing to it and it was kind of pointless. And then like 2 months later, they released a 60 FPS patch for PS5, so that's now that's the best way to play Red Dead. It's the only
Hmm.
way you can ever play that game at 60 FPS at the moment, and they never went back and patched the Xbox version or anything. So again, speaking of stupid ports and all that jazz and how bizarre things can turn out, I still don't understand that. But hey, that's pretty cool. If you want a way to play Red Dead Redemption 1 at 4K 60 FPS, there is a legal way now, I guess. But it sucks for
Yeah.
everybody else. In terms of Switch ports, I've heard the Red Dead Switch port is fantastic. It's like a perfect conversion.
Damn.
30 FPS, 1080p, it's great. So you
Those are
basically
words that you never hear in that order.
yeah, so
Fantastic Switch port.
yeah, compared to like other stuff like the Arkham port that came out a couple of weeks
Or
ago, yeah.
Mortal Kombat 1.
Mortal Kombat, fantastic port in comparison. So
Yeah.
yeah, basically, if you have anything that isn't a PC, if you have an Xbox, you can play the backwards compatible version. It's fantastic. If you have a PS4 or 5, you can play the PS4 version. And if you're on PS5, you get the best version of Red Dead Redemption that exists. And if you play it on Switch, you also get a fantastic conversion as well. So I feel like it's a win-win for everybody except for Xbox, because there's no 60 FPS patch for that. But
That damn Xbox tax.
I'd say that Rockstar would port it over because they'd then be able to make full price money off of it. But I don't think they will. I think it'd be too much resources. I hope they do, but no promises.
Mm.
Like I say, you think they would, because then they'd be like $60, please, fuckers. Don't pay for backwards compatibility. That one's only 20. Give us 60. Win-win, but no. We'll see.
Mm.
Um,
Then to cap off, are we in August?
yeah,
Yeah.
we are in August still.
Cap that off. Sea of Stars came out.
Sure did.
Did it?
Hunter, you finished this game.
I sure did. It was really fun. I
Mm.
liked it a lot. Visually, I think it's the best pixel art game like this. You know, the HD 2D
Mhm.
buzzword nonsense there. I think it's one of those. It does that the best. Soundtrack wise, every track is a winner.
Absolutely.
much like its Chrono Trigger inspiration there. Traversing in the world is something that they managed to make way more fun than most RPGs do. I felt like the way they just constructed where you're moving around to was really well put together, as far as moving around the dungeons and whatnot. The combat was simple but really entertaining. The uh, I'm forgetting her name right now, but the blue-haired girl's moon
Valir.
boomerang move
Yeah,
was a lot of fun.
it
It
was a
it
lot of fun.
it made my stupid little reptile brain very
Yep.
happy to just watch the boomerang bounce around from her to her to enemy again.
Yep.
It was fantastic. Um, and yeah, the story was great. A very classic kind of hero's tale that gets a twist partway through, and the characters are very likable.
Mm. Yeah, I played it, but I didn't finish it. No particular reason why. I enjoyed the game, but I just kind of fell off of it.
It does it do be like that sometimes. You just
Yeah.
yeah, it happens. It happens. Um, yeah, I didn't play it. I was away. That's when I went away
Correct.
to America. So I
Was
only played one game
was the
in
2
September.
weeks we were Ethan-less.
It was technically three. I did cop in halfway through, but you were technically
Ah,
alone
because you were
for
here to talk about Starfield.
I was here to talk about Starfield, which happened in September. Uh, gosh, we still got a lot of the year to go, eh? Merry Christmas, happy
I feel like we
holidays.
could rapid fire as we get closer to the end.
I don't
Like, for
know, because there's
November,
still a lot of
December.
games that I want to talk about. Because it's like, even though it's only been a couple of months, my thoughts on Starfield are very different to what they were. I still like Starfield. Um, Again, still don't have my list fully solidified yet. It probably would end up in the middle of the pack, probably of a top
Mhm.
10. Probably at like a 6 or a 5 on my top 6 if we were doing it that way. Um, it's an interesting one. I think again, the first half of Starfield I really liked. I like the characters. I think Sarah Morgan's really great. I think Sam Coe's really great. I think Alejandro's are great. There's some great characters and companions in Starfield, and I think the whole idea of trying to find these pieces of this foreign technology that you have no idea, this kind of futuristic tech that is beyond humanity's kind of comprehension is really interesting. Um, I think in terms of storytelling, it's some of Bethesda's best. In terms of world building, it's some of Bethesda's best work that they've done. Um, but it's hard to deny that it's a 2011 video game disguised itself in 2020, even 2018 graphic technology. It's not even that advanced when it comes to how it looks and feels, really. Um,
Oh, they never are with Bethesda, are they?
No, and I feel like especially with it winning nothing at Game Awards, and it looks like it's not going to win many awards in general, I do think this game will be a wake-up call for them. I genuinely do.
Like they can't just rest on their laurels.
I think they won't just because their joke when everyone's like encumbrance is done. Well, Todd Howard's like, well, we haven't listened to you before, and I'm like, well, maybe you should start listening now because it's not all rosy with the way Starfield's been released and received.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot to like. I just think, like I say, it's very archaic by design. Going through doors, fast loading screen, fast traveling, loading screen. Just everything has a fucking loading screen in that game. You can't go 5 fucking seconds without going through a loading screen. Um, the way the worlds are designed, where it is just kind of corridors on corridors, there's nothing really to it. There's no meat to the world really. Um, it just kind of sucks. The barren worlds, and everyone's like, well, that's what space is like. And I'm like, well, I would have much rather have had a much more handcrafted experience where we were in a single solar system, or we talk about Star Wars, there was 8 really good planets, and it was just those 8, and you put there was multiple cities. Every planet only has one city that you can explore. There's not a planet that has multiple cities for you to explore, which makes zero sense. It's as if in the Starfield universe, all of humanity landed on a planet, made one city, fucked off to another planet, made a city. You'd think they'd find a habitable planet and go, let's make another planet here. Like, let's make another
I feel
Earth,
like that's a
multiple cities,
misgiving with a
multiple
lot of
cultures.
sci-fi stories that have several locations in general, though. Like, I feel like Star Wars is an example. I feel like half the time it feels like there's only one relevant location on what's allegedly an entire planet for those too.
Oh, and I agree, and I think it's stupid, especially in the, but like I say, I feel like there's a lot to like, and I feel like the thing with Bethesda is, I think Bethesda is in that kind of same league as FromSoft, as no one can quite build a lore in a world like Bethesda. They're kind of in that league where it's like, there's just something about their world building and their storytelling where it's just very interesting. There's this whole side quest to do with the fall of humanity and what happened to the Earth and when we moved onto the planet. And there's this alien race called the Terramorphs and the Great Battle. There's like so much lore that it's just like it's really interesting and you just kind of want to digest it. But at the same time, it's like, why am I not living that? Why isn't that the story that I'm exploring? Why is that not the main premise of the game? Why am I hundreds of years in the future with a kind of generic boring plot? It's like that's like they do a great job of building a world and creating this diverse lore, but then I don't think they really do anything with it. And I think the idea of New Game Plus and all that jazz is brilliant. I think it's a great way to spice up an RPG like a Bethesda RPG, a game that people will play dozens and dozens of times. But I also think that if you're like me and you feel like you did everything the first time round and you just kind of want to carry on exploring or wait for the DLC, and the game penalizes you for having that decision, you can't roll credits until you go into New Game Plus in Starfield, and that is still the case 3 months later. And it's
Mm.
like, that is baffling to me. That is stupid.
That
It's
the
like
hold
it's
on,
not
hold on,
giving
hold
people a
on.
choice. It's like saying it's as if Life is Strange had an ending where it was like, here's option one, here's option two. You pick option two and they go, that's nice. The real option's option one. You wait there, and when you're man enough to pick option one, you go and pick option one, buddy. Good job. Like that's what the game does, and
Yeah, it's like
it's
picking the one ending
stupid.
of the first game and be like, wrong, no credits
Yeah,
for you.
that is literally what it's like. And I know the internet would love to do that, but like it's the whole point of having, and it's like the whole point of Starfield is, um, I feel like it's been 3 months. I don't think I'm spoiling too much. There's this whole idea of this endless cycle going again, becoming Starborn, basically reliving, going to a different multiverse and reliving the same set of events over and over and over again. And because you meet these characters that are doing that, the way the narrative was leaning to me was it was looking at all these people that are doing it and they're flawed individuals. It makes no sense. They're just reliving time over and over again. And I was getting that sense of it's like that's like, one step into the unknown. And it's like I thought that the story's morals at the end were you don't always have to take that leap. Sometimes it's not worth it. It's like what matters more, the discovery or the life that you've built? And I'm like, I think it's the life that I've built, and the game goes, you fucking idiot. No, do it again. And I'm like, it just seems a bit bizarre and it seems stupid. Like
You
I
can
I
only
went
roll
into
credits if you go into the endless now.
yeah, that's basically it's literally yeah. And it's like, so what did I do? I made a manual save. I went into New Game Plus. I watched the credits. I popped the trophy. I loaded back into my old world. I gave a middle finger to Todd, and that was it. I'll like see you in the DLC, Todd. I can win this game. I don't care. It just there's so many things like that where I'm like, it's so clunky in design. Where it's like, I still really like Starfield. It's probably my favorite Bethesda RPG. That's not saying much because the only other one that I tolerated is Skyrim. But it still has me question it. Like, I have no problems going. Of course, it didn't win a Game of the Year. No, of course, it hasn't won any awards because it hasn't. It is still very much Skyrim, which was very much. It's still very much Fallout 4, should I say? Which was very much Skyrim, which was very much Fallout 3, which was very much fucking
Oblivion.
Morrowind, Oblivion. Sorry, which was pretty much Morrowind, and it just carries on again. Like they've been making the same game. I couldn't have said it best. Very proud of this line that I wrote in the review where I was like, I feel like Starfield was the one small step. We need the giant leap. Like, I feel like that's what they need. I feel like Elder Scrolls 6 needs to be that giant leap into something new. Will they do that? I don't know. But I feel like they need to do it because I feel like the small steps aren't doing it anymore. Especially if the wait between games is going to be 5 to 7 years. I think that's ridiculous. Or 8 in the case of Starfield. But I think that that's more of an exception more than a rule. Um, but I still think it's fantastic. If you own an Xbox, congratulations, you only have 2 games to play. Which, let's be real here, it's one more than PlayStation got this year, so you've got at least got that going for you guys.
Hey.
But Hi-Fi Rush is like 8 hours long, so you've got some. You can play Starfield. Oh no, they got Forza. They got 3. They're living over on Xbox Land, dude. They got 3. I
I
lied.
mean, they also just got Baldur's Gate, so
Yeah, but that's not an exclusive. I'm talking about
well, yeah,
exclusives
but
here.
people who only own an Xbox could finally play it.
Yeah, true. And if you're going to play Baldur's Gate or Starfield, I'd probably even though I haven't played Baldur's Gate, go play Baldur's Gate.
Remember when we laughed at the kind of funny video that was like, "Could Baldur's Gate be PlayStation Starfield?" Oh,
And
that
I
was
still think
funny.
that's a stupid question. I still
It
think
is a
that's a stupid
stupid question. It's just
Yeah.
like funny because it was like
That's like saying, is Persona Xbox's Final Fantasy because they're not getting the current Final Fantasies? Like, that's a stupid
yeah,
fucking question. It's apples to oranges. Same genre, but they satisfy different people.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I still like Starfield. I still stand by my 4 out of 5. I still think it's a 4 out of 5 game. If you click with a Bethesda RPG, you're gonna have a good time. If you don't, there's nothing here that's gonna make you feel otherwise, other than but their characters are better than they were before. But that's not saying much. You played Skyrim. How fucking one-dimensional is every character in Skyrim? Like, I rest my case, dude. Like,
Yeah,
genuinely, that
the
wasn't
most
a
famous
challenge.
line is a throwaway NPC line rather than anything that was actually like well written.
Try to name one Skyrim companion. You can't. You genuinely
No.
can't. Try to name
No, like
one
I know
Morg.
collectives of things like
Try and
the
name one
Dark
Oblivion
Brotherhood.
companion that isn't the Adoring Fan. Got you, bitch, because you were going to say the Adoring Fan. I know you guys. I know
I
Bethesda
was gonna
fans. You're
say the
fucking
Adoring
stupid.
Fan.
Yeah, he's great. He's great in Starfield as well. I love him.
He's got a wonderful song.
Bye Victera, bye Victera,
I'm
bye
drawing a blank on his
Victera.
real name, but the
Is it
Just the
really
cheese guy.
you? I
yeah,
love him so
Cheese
much.
King would have
Yeah.
been if I could remember his name.
Is
What I
it
would
Cheese
really
say.
King.
you? The fact
His
that
name
I
is
get to
Cheese King.
stand in, get to breathe in the same air. I want every last molecule. Like, he's just brilliant. I love him. I love him so much. He's so good. Like I say, Starfield. There's some great in Starfield, but man, is it archaic as shit.
Yeah.
So much so it would have got a Game of the Year knob last year, but it wouldn't have won either. Like, that's the thing, is there's so many games this year. I'm like, any other year it would have won. Starfield is not one of those games.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. What else came out in September?
A couple of small games: Gunbrella, Axolotl, F-Zero
Yeah.
99. Those all kind of came out in rapid succession.
A lot of those
I don't know.
Hunter has talked about in depth 6 million times. There was one in
Yeah,
the indie review that
that's
we did
what-
a couple of weeks ago.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm
go
like, I
watch
don't know how
that
much energy
episode.
we want
Yeah,
to put
not
to
not
that
to cut
right
you
now.
off, Hunter, but we're like 2.5 hours into this
Yeah.
nearly, so I'm like, you know,
They're a
Sorry,
pair of
we-
fun and charming games that you should check out.
and we literally talked about them like 3 or 4 weeks ago, so you can go check out the indies episode if you are so inclined.
Yeah. I
and it's-
think probably the next big one would be Lies of P.
Oh, I can talk. Oh, I fucking love Lies of P. Great video game, man. It's one of those games where I got about halfway through, haven't gone back. Don't know if I will go back. Hopefully, if I have time. It's one of those things where I do want to, because Lies of P is a very rare game. It's a Souls-like where I feel like if you weren't into the gaming culture and if you say you played Bloodborne or you played another FromSoft game, you went, that's fucking great, and then you just said, play this Lies of P, and you didn't tell them that it wasn't a FromSoft game. I feel like people would think it's a FromSoft game. It's very close. Like, it's nailed it's nailed the execution on the first try, which is very impressive from a studio that hasn't made one of these before.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It really is. I have some gripes with it. I think the game has, even for a Souls experience, I think has some ludicrously steep difficulty curves where the game will just all of a sudden go from 1 to 100, and then you have to sit on a boss for a couple of hours, which is fun. It's all right, but if you're used to I feel like FromSoft games, everyone says FromSoft games are hard. I'm like, yeah, they kind of are, but also I feel like it's a pretty smooth curve when you look at it by comparison. I feel like it starts off quite high in terms of what's required of you, but I still think throughout the game it's kind of just a slow curve upwards as you master your craft, really. Whereas this game is more like notches, where it'll go like that, and then it'll just go whoop, and then carry on, and then whoop again. I think it's fine in that regard. There's some points where I'm like, it's a bit dumb. I think some of the bosses are very kind of takes Elden Ring design choices, which I know Kyle isn't a fan of, where everything's a bit too flashy, everything's a bit too like it's more like here's the style points more than the readability, and I'm
It's
like,
harder to hone in on what you actually
yeah,
have to do to avoid the attack.
yeah. And my main fault is like I'm fine with a good multi-boss, right? I'm fine with one or two in a Souls game. This game in the first half has three of them, and I'm
Oh my
like,
god.
that's only the
Oh
first
no.
half. And I'm like, yeah, that's a bit dumb. Can we tone that down a little bit? We don't need that many multi bosses in one go. But the world, the atmosphere, one thing it does, which I think is it does better than FromSoft. Sorry guys, I don't like reading text boxes. It tells a story, and it's not a terrible story either, which I think is quite good.
Oh, cool.
Um, it has cutscenes, it tells a story, it takes the kind of it takes a twist on Pinocchio, whereas if you've ever watched Pinocchio, or especially the Disney adaptation, the whole idea is don't tell a lie, be a human, you tell lies, don't tell a lie, tell the truth and you'll be more human, right? And this game kind of goes, that's kind of fucked up. If anything, lying is innately
Lying makes you
human.
more human.
Lying, yeah.
Yeah.
So the more you lie, the more human you become in the game, and that's kind of the twist on it. And it's like, it does an exceptional job. I think the setting, the puppets, all of it, it's got that creepy atmosphere. It's got that kind of aesthetics. I'd highly recommend Lies of P if you're into the FromSoft kind of genre and are looking for something that kind of mimics Bloodborne and Sekiro a bit more than it does the Souls games. But I think it's fantastic. I genuinely think it's a sleeper, to be honest. It's one of those games where you look at the fantasy critic score or whatever, and it got like an 80 something, didn't it? I honestly
Yeah.
think people slept on it a bit too much. I genuinely think it's even better than the score than it got, to be honest. I think it's really solid.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you think that the aesthetic it looks interesting, and it's up your alley, it probably is. It's a very, very, very good video game.
Mm.
But you know, again, it's one of those things where it's like, have you played all the Souls games? You should probably play all them first. It also does what I think a lot of Souls likes does, which is a bit of a sin, where it expects you to have played a Souls game before. It kind of it does it has the difficulty of an Elden Ring. It's not like a Dark Souls
Ugh.
1, right? Like it's like
Ugh.
the first bosses are kind of difficult. It's expecting you to have played a game like this before, which is, to be fair, it's a popular genre thanks to Elden Ring, right? But it's still a bit of a niche. So I'm like, I can understand you
Yeah.
expecting
Yeah, the
somebody who has
confusing
played
thing about
this.
games that take that approach is always like, okay, but where are you supposed to start then? You really want someone to start at Dark Souls 1
Yeah.
for the whole genre?
Lies of P got an 82. I do think that is underrated, especially when you've got other games like fucking Diablo 4 getting an 88. We didn't talk about Diablo 4. I assume you're skipping games that we didn't care about and haven't played because we didn't talk about the
Yeah,
fucking
Yeah.
the
the
game that
other
shall not
one.
be named. Yeah.
I was wondering if you caught on to that.
Oh, I did catch on to it, but I was like, I was when I'm looking here and I saw Diablo 4, I'm like, oh, he's been. I was like, I thought that was the only one, but you've been missing a couple off. That's fine though. We had nothing.
I figured
You
it was
forgot.
just best to not talk about
We
it.
didn't bully Redfall. What the fuck? We didn't bully
No, I
Redfall.
forgot about Redfall.
I didn't see Redfall in the list.
Well, that was May, and that was a
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
train
yeah. We
wreck.
just made
Oh,
jokes
that was
about.
Zelda.
We were too busy making jokes about other games that weren't Zelda and
Yeah.
picked obscure ones.
Yeah, well, Redfall came out, and that was shite as well. And Cheer. Oh well. I forgot a load of games. It's fine though. But yeah, where were we? What was next?
Hunter, do you have anything to say on Mortal Kombat?
I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I think it's the best one that they've made in a while. My favorite version of a lot of the characters now. Looking forward to them eventually doing something after this. As far as in the Mortal Kombat world, I don't care if they make an Injustice 3. That
I was
probably
gonna say
won't do
Injustice
anything
3.
for me.
Yeah, I don't think you care
Yeah,
about that.
that won't do anything. I think Injustice smells. So
That's fair.
All right then. I think that wraps up September.
Cool.
Actually, Cocoon, Hunter, do you have anything on that?
I haven't played it.
Okay, very
It'd
cool.
be
Moving
interesting.
on.
I'd be interested to play it, but I haven't yet.
Cool. October to December. What do
Okay.
we got?
October
What was
a
in
pretty
here?
big month. Pretty
Ass
big month.
Creed, Ass Creed Mirage, Ass Creed Marriage.
Assassin's Creed Mirage does the miraculous thing of going back to the thing I wanted it to be and still fucking disappointing me. That's impressive.
Damn.
Yeah, dude.
Tell me how you really feel.
uh, it was a bit fucking tragic, to be honest. I feel like Assassin's Creed Mirage was it's as if it's as if they understood what it needed to be from a gameplay perspective. They did not understand what it needed to be from a story and a world perspective. I think the world that they made in
Mhm.
Baghdad, fantastic. It's a great playground for Assassin's Creed. I think the visuals pretty solid. Um, but you can very easily tell that it was supposed to be an expansion, a game that they just meshed the old formula onto with the new engine, and it doesn't work that well. I don't think the gameplay is particularly enjoyable. I think the Batman Arkham Predator mode, where you can attack multiple enemies in one go, is a cool idea, but in practice, completely ruins any kind of stealth gameplay moment that you can have. I think what Batman Arkham Knight nailed with that Predator multi takedown was it was usually a way to
You could
either
never use it to do
it was to finish a
every
combat.
part of
Yeah,
the
it was
encounter.
to finish a stealth experience, or it was to engage in a combat experience. It
Yeah.
wasn't to do it all in one go. Because the problem with Assassin's Creed Mirage is you can select 4 people that are outside of the stealth, that are outside of everybody else's range, kill them all, and then you can carry on the stealth experience, and it ruins the entire point of it. I think the story is terrible. I think that the character performances, apart from the one assassin mentor, I can't remember what her name is, but she had a cool performance. Rashan, I think it was Rashan. I don't remember. Um, I could check my review on the website, to be honest, because I probably will have a section near the end that says this one character was pretty cool. Because yeah, Bayek was interesting, and let me look at it was Basim, not
Um,
Bayek. I've got fucking Game Awards brain on me right now. Uh I can't find it. But yeah, it's kind of like it's just it's a mediocre game. It really is. Um this Rashawn, it was Rashawn. Fucking hell, I even on a fucking ball of names this year, mate. Jeez.
Your brain is a steel trap.
Yeah. Um But yeah, other than the odd performance and stuff like that, the story is fucking boring. It's a really short game. I've 100%ed it in 2 days. It's really like it's not a long game, and it's not a particularly engaging one either. Um, it got a 76. I think that's a bit high, if I'm being honest with you. I genuinely, I stand by my 3 out of 5. I think it's a 3 out of 5.
mm.
If you really like Assassin's Creed, you might find something there. But as someone who doesn't like the Valhalla style, it didn't satisfy me enough in the opposite direction to say that there was a better way to go about it. I'm hoping that Assassin's Creed Red does something engaging that I like more, which has got a better chance because I like feudal Japan more than I like the Vikings
The
or
Middle
ancient
East.
Greece or
Yeah.
Egypt. It's going to win me on that regard. The idea of a female ninja assassin is a cool idea. I also think even the male assassin sounds like an interesting character for once in one of these games as well, because he's based off of a real life person. He's based off a real life historical figure who was one of the
Oh, cool.
first foreign samurais in Japan, I believe. So
Oh,
it's
shit.
like
Oh, is it
there's some
like
Nice.
interesting there's some
William from
interesting lore.
Neo?
Yeah, there's some interesting lore behind Assassin's Creed Red, which I'm
Yeah.
interested in, even if the gameplay doesn't. And then I think me and Hunter are living on a prayer for fucking Hexy being interesting.
Yeah, so much so that I'm skipping over the feudal Japan game that when I was still mildly interested in the series, I was like, I'd play it if they made one of these. Now I'm like,
Hunter's
I
like
don't
me
want to be
with yeah.
disappointed in this, so that I don't want to play the Witch game because the Witch
Hunter's
game
like
is
me.
definitely more up my alley.
Hunter's like me with Call of Duty, where it's like I'm willing to give him one chance and I'm waiting for the right time and right place, like the right like me. It's like me. It's like I might try the next Call of Duty because it's a Treyarch game with 4 years, and if that one's bad, there's no hope for the rest of the thing. And Hunter's the same way with Assassin's Creed. He's like one chance.
Yeah. If I like the
Hexy.
Witch Trial game, I will go back to the other one if people say it was good.
We'll find out. That game's probably next year, Red. Because I think it's been slated for 2024. So we'll find out. But man, would it kill Ubisoft to make a new Rayman game? That's all I'm saying, dude. Like fucking hell. I'd love a
It
new
might.
Rayman game.
I'll explode.
I'd love it, dude. Thing is,
Best we can
Legends
give you
sell.
is Rabbids Kingdom
The thing
Battle.
is, Legends sold so fucking well as well. Like they ported it to every fucking thing. Like
Yeah, remember when it was a Wii U exclusive?
yeah, Wii U, Switch, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One,
The
fucking Switch.
computer.
It's everywhere, dude.
iPhone
That
probably.
iPhone, like it's everywhere. So
I
good,
don't know.
so good.
TI 64.
Anyway, what was next in
McDonald's
October?
ordering kiosk.
I know Forza was
Um,
out in October, but we none of us played
but
it.
who
We
cares?
didn't
Forza's
play
Forza.
those.
I think
Yeah.
probably the next big one is the 20th with Spider-Man and Mario.
How are we
Spider
feeling,
Mario.
Hunter? About you? Obviously, Kyle never joined us on the Spider-Man train. Not yet, anyway. Maybe one day.
No, I
Uh,
bought Mario instead.
you did buy Mario instead. How are you feeling on Spider-Man after 2 months, Hunter?
Overall, it was an improvement, but it's the kind of thing that we've mentioned previously now, where the final act biffed it. I feel
I agree. I think the final act is really
my
well.
idea was better.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the whole Venom thing was Harry being Venom and all of that was a fine enough twist that they didn't have to do the alien invasion scenario. I really think
It
it would have
didn't
been
make any
better if it
sense.
would have been
He went
grounded.
from 0 to 100 in
I feel
5 seconds.
I feel like yeah, it would have been fine without all the symbiote enemies and all that jazz because I feel like the game just went. What happened in the first one? Oh, the Devil's Breath thing that affected the whole city. We need something on that scale. No. Spider-Man works best when it's a more personal story, and you would set
Yeah.
up a really personal finale, and you decided to go end of the world alien attack, fucking whatever the hell that was, and it was not great.
And it was the symbiotes were the worst part of any gameplay
Yeah.
experience.
I also feel that I'm interested in what they do with Silk, but I am starting to think, is this like, do we need to keep adding more spider people? Again, I love Spider-Verse. I think the two Spider-Verse movies are incredible. But whenever I see multiple people whenever I know it's not multiverse because they're all same universe, but whenever we start getting multi characters and stuff like that, now I don't know why, but I feel like the world with all of its fan service and all that jazz is starting to make me hate whenever multiple things are introduced now. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, but
interested in it. I hope it's good. And what my hope is, we didn't really see much of Cindy. I'm really hoping that Cindy is the same age as Miles. Like, I really
yeah,
don't want Spider Junior Junior. I feel like we don't need 3 stages of this. I'd much rather have somebody that I know that Miles is Peter's equal, but there's still that age gap there. I'd
it'd
really
be
like
cool
someone that's
if this
on par with
person
them.
was kind of familiar with how to use their powers already.
Yeah, even better. I kind of want that equal footing of them both being the same age, both dealing with the same kind of thing, making it more of a. Because again, I don't want her to be like, if Miles is, I don't even remember how old, is Miles like 17 and 2, 18,
Is
something like
he
that.
18? I think he's talking about
He's in Brooklyn
graduating
Visions.
soon.
Yeah, he's about to graduate. So I'm going to assume he's like 17, 18. I really then don't want Cindy to be like 14 and then it's like we've got all the fucking age ranges. It's like, can we just like keep it either the same keep it the same age, please, or have like a year or two gap so that she's the age Miles is now by the time we get there, you know? Like, come on, like
Yeah,
I don't want Spider Junior again. Especially because I'm hoping Silk has a really unique move set. Is what I'm
yeah,
hoping, that she plays drastically different to Peter and Miles. Um, we'll see, but I still think it's a fantastic game.
yeah. It's a
There's
good
no
game.
better
It's
fuck
just
around game than Spider-Man. I still sometimes boot it up and just swing around and have some fun just with the web mechanics. I'm waiting for New Game Plus. Please release it, Insomniac, because I'd happily play through that game again. Mainly because I feel like you unlock so much stuff late in the game and then never get to use it. I'd like to just play through the
yeah.
game
I
again
got
with everything so I
Miles's
can.
sick Dracula collar suit with
Yeah,
2 hours left in the game, and I was like, man,
literally anything other than his final suit. That would be great.
exactly.
Wonderful. Uh, Mario Wonder, Kyle, how are you feeling on that? A little bit away from it.
I really enjoyed this game. It was a fun little 2D platformer. Feel like I feel like those, besides in the indie scene, those have kind of, they're few and far between
We don't get many
nowadays.
of them, do we? We don't get many
No,
high quality ones. It's mainly indie studios. I think the last, like I say, Rayman Legends, like
Rayman
really,
Legends was like the last notable one I could think, besides all
other
the
than like
new
Donkey
soup
Kong Tropical
games.
The
Freeze.
AAA Space Feared Celeste.
Yeah,
Donkey Kong Tropical
understandable.
Freeze was 2014, so that was like the year after Rayman Legends. But then like we've had like a massive drought, right?
Yeah,
Um, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a
yeah.
great 2D platformer. Um, I don't know if I I still think it's a must. If you're into that stuff, it's a must play.
Hmm.
But when we're, I hate talking about that ranking because then it's like I still think there are 2D platforms that are better than it. I don't think it does beat Celeste. I still think Celeste is a better 2D platformer than Mario Wonder. Um,
Yeah.
if I'm honest with you, I think as even though I'm not a huge fan of Tropical Freeze, some of Tropical Freeze's design mechanics, I still think structurally as a game, I think Tropical Freeze is the better of the two as well. Um, there are other games that I like. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, I also think I liked more than Mario Wonder. There's a lot of 2D. There's a lot of good games in the 2D space. That's not saying Mario Wonder's bad, um, but I feel like when you look at something like the Wonder mechanic, which I think is a great mechanic, I think it's really quirky and it's what
Yeah,
Nintendo
it's
does best,
cute.
which is like it's cute. But I feel like people overstated its importance and how revolutionary it was. I don't think there was some cool concepts and some wacky stuff, but I don't think it was like, oh my god, that's fucking. They had me on the edge. I was like, okay, cool. What's the next one gonna be? It wasn't like, oh my god,
Yeah,
this is redefined how I will see a 2D platformer from now on. It's not that,
yeah,
um, but it's solid nonetheless. Um, I think it's fantastic. I think as a
yeah.
final Mario game for the
Very cool.
Switch, wonderful way to go out. Pun
Perfect
intended.
send off. Yeah.
Um, yeah, pretty great.
Alrighty,
Anything else
Hunter.
in October?
Alan Wake.
Just a little one.
Alan Wake. That game was pretty good. I liked it quite a bit.
I'm
Um,
shocked.
yeah, like I've said before, I like Remedy because they exist in the AAA space and are still willing to be weird. And most people who do that, or most AAA studios, refuse to be weird. And it's not just weird; it's weird at a pretty high quality. Like there are some things about it, sure. Like if you're into horror games, like and play a lot of them, I could see how you think it's a little easy. But I feel like everything else it does with the presentation and all of that elevates it to be an entertaining and very unique experience.
Well, I can remember when you said because it's like people were trying to gauge how scary Alan Wake 2 was. And I remember you saying something along the lines of, I can see why somebody would be scared about Alan Wake. I'm like, well, Hunter can see something. I'm like, okay, it's probably pretty creepy. I'll give him that. Um, I've
Yeah.
seen the game over jump scare or whatever. I'm like,
Wait, what?
When you
yeah,
die, it like
when you
flashes
die,
a
it does
bunch of
like,
nonsense at
yeah, it does
you.
like a massive jump scare, yeah, whenever
Oh,
you die, which is fun. So I'd put that on
that's
game on
neat.
baby bitch mode instantly because I'm like, well, you're gonna jump scare me every time I die, so let's turn that difficulty down, make sure
It's
that
not a
doesn't
jump
happen.
scare if you know what's coming.
Yeah, true, but it's
Yeah,
still
then it's
it's one of
just a
those.
scare.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it does just flash on the screen and stuff like that, right? So it's like, even if I'm seeing it coming, Hunter, it's still like a fucking just out there, right? It's just out there.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I'm really happy that Alan Wake 2 has kind of got its flowers. I just hope that Remedy keeps it up, right? Because this is, I don't want to say it reminds me of Arcane, but it's like in the same way where it's like, Control, extremely well reviewed. Alan Wake 2, same way. And it's like, Arcane's like that. And then I played Deathloop when I was like, fine, I'll finally see what you fuckers are like. And then I play it and I'm like, I don't like it. So please, Arcane, please, Remedy, please keep making really good stuff because I don't
Well,
ever
I
want
think
to.
next on their agenda, at least as far as things they've
Control
announced,
2,
are
right?
remakes of Max Payne
Oh, Max Payne
1
1
and
and
2.
2, yeah.
And I can't wait for that because I liked those, and I think having them look up to snuff will be great.
Yeah. It's a while away, though. I think anything else from Remedy is very far away. Because they were
Probably.
all hands
Yeah.
on deck for Alan Wake 2. So
Yeah.
we'll see, I guess. But fantastic little games come out. And then we're into November. Things are finally
Into
dying down.
November.
Tiny bit. There were a couple of games though.
Yeah. Um, Ethan, did you get to playing Persona 5 Tactica?
Uh I dabbled, but I was like, I'm getting this on PS5 at some point, so I was like, I'm not gonna invest anything.
Okay.
Persona 5 Tactica is a fun little tactic. If you like tactics games, you're probably gonna like Persona 5 Tactica. I've heard it does some fun stuff with the story later on, but from the start, it's just more Persona 5 spin-off 101 or Persona spin-off 101, right? It's just like, hey guys, we're back. You like the Phantom Thieves? I like the
It's
Phantom
the
Thieves.
winter vacation this time.
Um,
I don't
the whole
know.
idea behind it is you basically get chucked into this world, which is basically a dictatorship, and you're trying to fight for freedom. You're basically joining the resistance and fighting for the freedom of this world. Essentially, it's more Persona stuff, and I think the tactic stuff,
It's an isekai?
basically. Um, I think the
Classic.
I think the tactics that they're like I feel like the tactic system that they're doing is solid. There's some interesting stuff there. It's 3 characters at a time. You have it does the similar thing that Strikers did, where it tries to blend the two together, where it's like it still has its Persona turn-based isms in it, where it's like you've still got your Persona skills and your all-out attacks and stuff like that. They still managed to incorporate those in there. I think if you are a fan of Persona 5 and you're wanting to play a spin-off, go play Strikers first, because I think that one's a bit better. I feel like it's fine. I feel like I'm ready. I feel like we've beaten a dead horse. I feel like I'm in the
Ready to
same
move
way that it's
on
like I
from
don't need a
Persona
Persona 4.
5.
Yeah, in the same way where it's like, my Persona 4 got 6 million spin-offs. It's like, just release Persona 5, please. I'm the same way now
Yeah.
with Persona 6, where I'm like, you're not doing anything substantial with these characters. You're just doing a, hey, whoa, it's nice to be back, quirky shit. Like, it's time for Persona 6. It's time for Persona 6.
Yeah.
It's been long enough. And I hope after Reload is out, they start teasing some stuff for 6, because I feel like 6 will be 2025, will be my guess. And it's about time that we get there, to be honest. It's the problem with modern gaming, right? Where it's like we're waiting a decade for entries, and I feel like like some games like GTA 6, I understand, $100 billion game making stupidly realistic graphics that no one cares about. Persona, you can do a couple of spin-offs and then move on, guys. You don't need to do 8 fucking spin-offs and dance around all of this shit, right? We don't need.
I feel like in some ways
Yeah.
having so many spin-offs in between the games kind of I feel like it would have a bigger impact if there was only the one spin-off that you do and then move on,
Yeah.
because it gives you more time to miss the
Or make it substantial. Here's the thing.
yeah, that
I
too.
don't. They're so busy doing. Oh, what if we do a tactics game? What if we do a rhythm game? What if we do a Muso game? And it's like, do a Final Fantasy, dude. If you've made a Persona game and you're like, some of the team are still really vibing with this, do a 5-2, do a 4-2.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy's done it with a couple of them. They keep going back to the world of 7. They did 10 and 10-2. They did the 13
The
trilogy.
13 trilogy.
Do it.
Yeah.
Penultimate
Go and make.
Fantasy Crisis Core.
Go and let most of the team move on to the next project. But if you want to go and do a 5-2 or a 6-2 or whatever, go and do it. No one's stopping you. No one's gonna loathe the idea, especially if you say the next game is in development, but we wanted to do something more, and it's more substantial than the fucking rhythm game. Even though I like the rhythm games, it's more substantial than a fucking rhythm game or a Muso game that's a halfway house sequel, which feels like a sequel in some ways, but does nothing in terms of character development or progression because it's not made by the same team. Like it's
And is missing the best
Yeah.
parts of the best
The
version of the other game.
the new
Yeah.
version you just put out. Yeah.
I do feel that Persona relies far too much on its spin-offs and other pieces of media, to be honest. Like I say, it's fine. It does the job. Tactica is harmless. It does the job. It's better than Engage. I'll give it that. It has more of a story than Engage. So if you're after a tactics game on the Switch this year that has a story, then I would point you towards Tactica over Engage. But only if
Yeah,
you've played
but
Persona 5 Royal. You've got to have 100 hours of homework. So it's like your choice, kid. You do you.
that's the trade-off. Do you want to do 100 hours of homework or do you want to play Fire Emblem Engage?
Well, I'd also suggest that it's like, yeah,
At least the homework is good.
Yeah,
go
it's
and
fun
play.
homework.
Here's the thing: Fire Emblem Three Houses is that fucking convoluted that they've got 4 fucking stories that you can go through. Go play another one of them if you really want to fucking play Fire Emblem right now. Like that's what my
Yeah.
suggestion is. You played one version of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Congratulations. There's another 4. Go and play another one of them. Like go and help yourself, knock yourself out.
Go hang out with the Upside Down, man.
There's a part of me that has always wanted to go back and do it, but then I'm also like, it's still a 50-hour game. Like fucking hell, I don't have that much time on my hands.
Yeah.
I like the idea of doing a Golden Deer run as much as the next as everybody else, but it's a lot of time investment. Also,
like
that
the
game runs
idea
like
more than you
ass.
would
I
like
like
the,
it, but it's still shitty.
Yeah.
Execution.
The Apple JPEG, like, come on, like, it's not perfect. Oh, what would I give for a good Fire Emblem game with a good story? Like, oh, what would I give for
Yeah,
that?
bro. Can I interest you in Fire Emblem Awakening?
It's too old, bro. Remake it, then I'll play it. Make it shiny.
It's from
Make it
2013.
shiny, bitch, and
Yeah.
then I'll play it.
Uh,
Remake it on
anyways,
Switch too. I'll play it.
Me too.
anyways,
I think.
alongs
I
I
also,
do play
I don't
it.
know why. I like the idea. You know, I don't know why, and it's like it's a three houses thing. I just love the idea of having all these houses and then also doing the snipe. You know, I like the idea of being like, hey, I'm teaching the like teaching the Black Eagles, right? But then I'm like, hey, I like that character in the Golden Deer, and if you befriend them enough, you can do the yoinky sploinky and go, you belong to me now, and drag them away and go, you're my friend now, you won't be there. I like that. That's a good mechanic.
That is a really funny mechanic.
I like it. It's cool because then when the plot twist happens in Three Houses and then they join your side, that's really cool because it's like the whole second half of Fire Emblem Three Houses kind of tragic with the way that everything unfolds. So the fact that you're able to bring people around and stuff like that, I love that. That's some good shit. Good shit.
Yeah.
Do more of that and less shitty story like Pepsi Man game, dude. Fucking hell.
Anyways,
Anyway,
alongside Persona 5 Tactica, Super Mario RPG Remake also came out.
yes, sir.
Fantastic game. If you played the original, you'll love this game. If you're brand new, you'll love this game.
I got it
It's
today because it's
yo,
Christmas. Wow, that's
hell
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, wow.
dude.
What
I
a
hope future
surprise.
Ethan is enjoying it.
Ah, you think I'm playing it on Christmas Day, bro? You get next to Bayonetta. I'll maybe play you
Oh,
one day.
well, a boy can hope, but no.
You got a higher chance
Um,
than Bayonetta 3. You've got a higher chance than Bayonetta 3. Let's be real here.
I mean, it's
Um,
about the same length as Bayonetta 3, so
well, yeah,
seven
it'll
hours,
go in front of my list. Dude,
7 to 10 hours.
I played like an hour of Bayonetta 3 and went, well, that's a video game and turned it off. So
Yeah.
you have more hope.
No, now Super Mario RPG is tight. I think the original still holds up very well, and this remake just has a lot of quality of life. It's the same game. If you played the original, it is a lot of the same game, but I think it's done very well.
It's faithful, but it's great still. That's the thing, right?
Yeah,
It's like it's
it's
not reinventing
faithful.
the wheel, but
Yeah,
it excels at what it was trying to achieve, which is always a good thing.
yeah. And then
Um,
there is a post game after you finish it and after credits roll, because back in 1994, the after the credits rolled, the game just froze stuck on the end screen.
yeah, yeah,
That's
the
how it
classic.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you're like, well, time to walk out of this final dungeon, I guess.
hell yeah.
Um, anything else that is sticking out to y'all in November?
Uh, The Last Faith came out sometime in November, and I liked that game. It was the 2D Metroidvania with the Souls combat.
Oh
I thought it
yeah.
was, I thought it was cool.
I know the Talos Principle 2 came out. If you're into puzzle games, that was pretty well received. People seem to like that quite a bit. So
Hmm.
there are bits and pieces all around November,
Yeah.
but you know, game's cool enough. It's weird because back in the day, like even Call of Duty was out in October again. Well, it's November 10th, right? But it's like November used to be the big month, but it seems like everybody's decided to move it to October now.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if that's so that the games are out long enough so that they can slightly discount them on Black Friday and people don't feel like they've been ripped off. I don't know if that's the logic. Trying to get a second win before Christmas, but because I remember, I don't know if you remember back in the day, Hunter, it genuinely used to be where you'd have like first week of November, there used to be like the big EA AAA release, then it'd be Call of Duty the second week, then Ubisoft would do a Assassin's Creed or something else on the third week, and then it'd be
Yeah.
like the week after that, there'd be whatever else is hitting. Like it used to be like a Sony like first party exclusive used to be out in November, and you'd be like, what? Like I know God of War
Oh
was
yeah.
last year, but there used to be like one every November, and then there'd be games in between. It'd be
Yeah, yeah.
fucking
Like
madness.
even as late as like I didn't start listening to people actually talk about the gaming space
Yeah,
like podcast wise until I was later in high school. And even as late as that, people were still talking about what's PlayStation gonna do for their holiday season game.
holiday game.
And
Yeah.
like that feels like that hasn't been a thing for a while.
Hmm.
Same with like Nintendo and stuff. Nintendo used to have a November game like all the time, and it's like one of the months.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
they had
Like
Mario RPG, but now it's a smaller month for them. They'll do something like a Mario RPG or something like that. Most of the
I
time,
mean,
Nintendo is like big releases the first week of December now, which is always a weird one. Like
for
Smash
a
and
while,
Xenoblade.
back on like the 3DS, that was November was Pokemon's
Well,
slot.
November is usually Pokemon slot. Like it is usually Pokemon slot. But they used to. The thing is Pokemon used to be it's more of an outlier, right? It was like
Hmm.
Pokemon was Nintendo, but if Nintendo had something else to release, they would release something else. It'd be like there's a
Yeah.
Mario game out. The holiday Mario game is out in November as well as Pokemon. Whereas now they just kind of go,
Skyward Sword came out in November
yeah.
on its Wii release. It was
Hmm.
one of my birthday
Am I
presents.
stupid? When
Oh,
was 3D World out? I feel like 3D World
was that
was.
December?
I feel like 3D World was not Bowser's Fury. I have to go 3D World Mario Wii U. I have to this is what happened with all these fucking switchboards. No, it was November. I was right. Yeah. Nintendo used to have a big release alongside Pokemon in November. Now they just tend to steer clear, or it's a smaller game like Mario RPG or whatever have you,
Hmm.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
Just interesting seeing that shift. I wonder if next year will be different. Well, actually, I have no clue. Next year is going to be interesting. Like I say, quite a year. Assassin's Creed might end up on November again.
Oh boy.
Call of Duty might do as well. We'll
Hmm.
see. I'm genuinely interested. Next year, from the AAA nonsense, will be very interesting because this is an Assassin's Creed game that's had like 5 years of development time, and this Call of Duty game is the longest one ever in development. They've had like 4.5 years on it, so it'll be very interesting. If those games are still shit, then that'll be an achievement. We'll round of applause for that one. Actual accomplishment. They will be. It'll be funny to see.
It'll be funny if it's like not only bad, but like the worst they've ever been.
Oh, I
It'd
don't
be
think
like
they could be worse than this year. I think
you see, it'd be funny though because it'd be like, see, this is why we don't develop for a long time. We make it worse.
yeah,
All we learn how
well,
to do is break the game.
Oh my god.
it'd be an accomplishment. The longest game the previous longest game in dev cycle, I believe, was Black Ops 3, which is considered the best of the new CODs, like the last good COD, really. So we'll see if it works for them because like every Call of Duty since then has had a 1 to 2 year dev cycle. It's been really bad because everyone's been crunched, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting. And Spyro 4 will be there as well, alongside them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe.
It'll come out on your birthday.
Oh, wait, what day is
Oh,
my birthday on? I want to
I
know.
don't
Oh,
know.
that's a good. Come on, be a. Is it a Tuesday?
Tuesday or Friday. Tuesday or Friday.
It's a Thursday. There's a
Ah,
chance. Some games
there's a
do release on Thursdays. There's a chance.
like
It's more
Final
likely to
Fantasy
be a JRPG
16.
though. That's more likely to be a JRPG. They release on Thursdays.
Hear
Damn
me
it.
out. What if Spyro was an RPG?
I wouldn't want that. Take it back, Hunter. Take it back.
Oh
We're
wait, I should take
stalling
that back. I
because
might speak it into existence.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're stalling because there isn't really anything for December.
Yeah,
This one-
Avatar smells.
Avatar smells. At the time of recording, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus isn't out yet,
Epic.
but I hope it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I just want to have a
Asura's
look.
Wrath 2.
Avatar,
Oh, Quest.
Avatar:
What?
Frontiers of Pandora
Oh, that says
scored a
Asgard's
solid
Wrath.
70. That's impressive. Congratulations. Congratulations to the team at Ubisoft. You made a strong fucking 70. That's impressive.
You made a middling game for a middling movie from the middling publisher. Good job.
Yeah.
Batman Arkham Trilogy also released on the Switch.
Don't buy it. It's awful. Don't buy it. It's
Oh.
awful.
Like
Don't
all of
buy
it,
it
or
at
just
all.
Yeah,
Night
all
is
of it.
bad? Oh,
All of it.
how? How are the other two bad?
Night is
What?
unplayable, and Arkham Asylum and City can somehow not run at 30 frames per second, even though those games are from 2009 and 2011, respectively. Because Hunter, they were smart. They decided to port the Return to Arkham versions, the PS4 versions, and then fuck it up.
To the Switch.
Yeah, instead of doing the PS3, the Xbox 360 conversions, which would have been smart and easier.
You should have just asked for the other versions.
Do you know what's funny? Arkham City had a special edition made for Wii U, and that ran fine. So,
I forgot about that.
yeah,
Wii U got a
it had
bunch
the
of random
special armor.
nonsense.
Do you remember that? It had
'Cause,
the
like,
special armor,
yeah,
like the blue, the glowing armor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Arkham City got that, and then like the Wii U for some reason got Mass Effect 3, the game all about the end of the story that you built in the other two, without the other two to build the story for. You just got
Yep.
that last chapter. You watched the final episode of a show without any build up.
I think they got Arkham Origins as well, which
Hmm.
is decent. They didn't get Asylum, but they got 2 of them.
I forget. Did the Wii U get Bayonetta 1? Or did it just
Eventually,
have
right?
2?
Yeah, it had both.
It did? Okay.
Although this is the fun part. In America, it was digital only. In Europe
Yeah.
and Japan, it got a physical copy,
Boo.
which I got because it was a
Good job.
2-pack.
Ooh, get you.
Yeah, and it was the same price. It was the same full price, and you got 2 separate boxes and everything. It wasn't even 2 discs in the same box. You got a separate
Damn.
Bayonetta 1 box,
Oh, that's great.
which is pretty cool.
Imagine.
And then I was mad when when they released the same 1+2 on Switch, and one was a download code.
Yeah.
And then you had to buy one separately on the eShop and on the Nintendo store, and they made about 5 copies of
If
it.
you wanted the separate box, you had to go buy it on its own. Years
And
later.
luckily, I did get that copy of Bayonetta 1, but I don't even like Bayonetta that much, to be honest. I just wanted the
Yeah.
copy because I was like, that's going to be fucking a pain in the ass to get. And I was right!
Woo!
Anyway, December was
Woo.
kind of mid. There was an bad Avatar
It's
game,
okay.
and
It can be nothing happening because I still have Baldur's Gate to finish.
I'm good with nothing happening.
Everything happened the rest of the year. It's fine.
Yeah. The year could use a little nothing.
you know, sometimes what you need is a bit of a catch-up. Like I say, there's so much stuff. This isn't even talking about, like, Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk. They fixed Cyberpunk, best ongoing game. Like, they fixed that.
Yeah.
There's been so much stuff this year. Plenty for us to play. Can't complain whatsoever. Like I say, it's just a shame that the industry itself has been a bit of shitter this year. Let's hope that it improves somewhat next year, I guess. But with that has been our Game Awards length episode of the HGO podcast. Happy Christmas. There's your present. It's 3 podcast episodes in one. Lucky you. Ugh. This genuinely might be the second longest episode of the podcast ever, because we'd have to go for another 16 minutes to beat the spoiler cast for P5. But, you know, pretty close
Didn't we
second
have one
place.
beat P5?
Xenoblade.
Yeah, Xenoblade beat it.
Oh, did it?
Xenoblade 3. Yeah.
I do
Good
not
old
remember.
Charlie
Did it?
Ouroboros.
No, it didn't. I don't believe
Yes,
that.
it did.
I don't believe.
Yes,
I'm
it
going
did,
back.
dude.
I'm going back. I don't believe this.
Now let's artificially lengthen this one so
it
Ethan
was
can
3
check.
hours and 20 minutes. It was. We
Yeah.
really talked that long
Yes.
about it? God.
Yes.
The amount of stuff I blank out about this show that we've done nearly 200 episodes of is quite impressive. But no, we won't inflate it. We'll take third place. Bronze medal. That's fine. That's fair enough. It's Christmas, Kyle. People have got things to do. They can only waste 3 hours on Christmas on this thing.
Yeah.
But no. It's been fun, though. Thanks for hanging out with us as we have gone through the entirety of 2023. Join us next week, where we do the exact same thing, but we only talk about the things we liked or we didn't. It'll be great. It'll be good.
We break it up into categories.
Yeah, we'll do the exact same thing, but I don't. Yeah,
There will be certificates.
yeah. I'd like to. I just think like a paint.
I've joked
document,
about
yeah.
like to my brother one time was watching this dude for like, I think he was watching like F1 races or something, and he like did year-end awards, or because he couldn't afford trophy, he printed out certificates with like wrote people's names on it. I think that'd be a really funny bit to do for the HGA. Is the
Write their
problem is
names
it's
on in
hard to
paint.
predict. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to
Let them
predict
go,
who
look,
will.
yeah,
Like,
there
I know
you go.
what my
Here's your
votes
award.
are.
Here's your award. Will you do us a favor? Print it out and put it in your trophy cabinet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Print this out, frame it,
Frame it.
hang it above your mantle.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll be back next week for that. And then the week after that, we start cranking up that hype train all over again, baby. It'll be Fantasy Draft Year 4, which is crazy to think that we've done 4, that we have done 3 of them, and that'll be number 4. That's kind of crazy. Especially considering, I'm not going to lie, I suggested the first one on a whim as a joke, and I thought it'd be a one and done and people would give up halfway through. So, you know, the fact that we're carrying out.
Some people did, and they don't play anymore.
We didn't invite them back.
Right. Sam stopped playing halfway through. In Jack's defense, I feel we couldn't just work out the timing with Jack, and Jack's always busy. I feel like if we asked him, he'd be down. But he'd also have no clue what's going on, so he'd just he'd be
I
like,
don't
"Can I
feel
have
like
the
there's
Nintendo
enough
game?"
games next year for 4 people.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Sorry, Jack. Maybe 2025. No, but we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out next week, I guess. But with that, I guess we've got to find the right tab. All links are on screen right now. You can go follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. And yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that, really. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been fun. Hope you're having a happy holidays wherever you are, however you're celebrating. Hope you're having a good one, even if it's just a day off. That's the thing,
Just
right?
enjoy your time off of work.
That's the thing. Even if you aren't religious, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you get some time off work, whether that's a day or a week, right? I mean, and who can complain about that? Play some video games, have some fun, you know, do what you want to do.
Eat some
you
cake.
deserve it. Eat some, do what you have a great time. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday as well. Unlucky that it's the same day as Christmas. That's unlucky. I had a friend that was like that. I had a primary school friend whose birthday was Christmas Day, and I'm like, that's unlucky. I'm like,
I'd
yeah,
start
everyone...
claiming that I would if that was how if that was where I landed, I'd start claiming that was the more important birth of the day.
Yeah, I'd be like double or nothing then, but I'm expecting double presents. I'm expecting mega Christmas, dude. Like, yeah.
Mega Christmas.
Parents get divorced. I'm expecting quadruple Christmas, okay? I'm expecting, like...
I make the same claims when my birthday lands on Thanksgiving. I'm like, yes, the more important holiday is still me.
Yeah.
All this food is for me.
Dude, I used to hate it as a kid, because being a November baby sucks, because you get, like, say, if you're after games or whatever, you get your birthday, a month later you get Christmas, that's it for the rest of the year. It's like, have fun 10 months, baby. You gotta wait that whole 10 months or whatever, 11 months just for anything, for food. No, nothing. But oh well. We'll live, Hunter. We'll live. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for our show. We're padding it out. We could do it. We could go for another 15 minutes, but we won't, because I think
Don't make me get out the Game Awards picture.
I don't remember what the Game Awards picture is. What Game Awards picture?
Please wrap it up.
Oh, damn. Sorry. I misread 30 seconds. I thought it said 3 hours. Well, I'd like to thank my family, and I think that's it. Right then, I'm been told to wrap it up. Thank you ever so much for listening and watching this week. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. Have a wonderful holidays. And yeah, we'll see you next week, I guess. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.